1. I am calling the Budget and Finance Committee meeting to order. I'm going to read the emergency statement that we have to read for all of our electronic meetings. And once I read it, if I could get a motion in a second, that would be great. Is Director Cooper on the call?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay, do I need to do a roll call first?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get the roll. I've been marking people as I see them, but if we could get that on the record, that'd be good. Thanks.
Okay, and I can do that before the electronic statement or do that.
Yes, ma'am, you can do it before.
All right, Councilmember Allen?
Here.
Councilmember Benedict? Councilmember Druffel?
Here.
Councilmember Glover?
Present.
Councilmember Porterfield? Councilmember Roten? Councilmember Sledge? Councilmember Spora?
Here.
Councilmember Syracuse?
I'm here.
Councilmember Vercher? And I am here. And if you hadn't noticed, I am sitting in as the chair today. I'm going to move forward with reading the emergency statement. Pursuant to the Governor Lee's Executive Order number 16 regarding electronic meetings as extended by Executive Orders number 34 and 51, I move that this committee meeting agenda constitutes essential business of the Metropolitan Council and that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in the light of the COVID-19 outbreak.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. So we can dive right into the agenda resolutions. Resolution RS 2020-439 by Mendez, Toombs, and others approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Transportation to the Davidson County Sheriff's Office to provide statewide litter pickup and litter prevention education. Can I get a motion? The second?
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Chair, it's Councilwoman Benedict. I just wanted to be first present. I couldn't get unmuted before. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right, I've gone through the list. I don't see any discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The committee recommends approval. Moving on to Resolution 2020-440, Mendez and Toombs approves a direct appropriation grant from the state of Tennessee in the amount of $10 million. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There is a proposed, actually there are two proposed amendments. The first amendment is by myself. Director Cooper, can you tell the committee what that amendment does?
Certainly. This amendment is similar to the amendment the council added to the CARES Act grant from the federal government. This is a $10 million grant from the state government for COVID relief, and the amendment would add a provision stating that no funds would be spent until a plan for disbursement of the funds was approved by the council by resolution.
And as the sponsor of that amendment, I will add that it's just to be consistent with the $121 million that we received, that there be a plan presented to council before we spend any of these COVID dollars. It just goes to the transparency and making sure the public is aware and the council has input on how this money is spent. Can I get a motion to move the amendment?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
So, Director Cooper, Councilmember O'Connell also has a proposed substitute, and from my understanding, he may be withdrawing that. I don't know if he's on the call.
I don't see him on the. Sorry, I don't see him on the call, but he just there's nothing to withdraw. He can just decide not to offer it tomorrow night. So there's no requirement that the committee consider it.
Okay. Okay. Well, we are on the amendment proposed by myself. Is there any discussion? Not seeing any discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Committee recommends approval. Resolution 2020-441, Mendez, Toombs, and others approves the Green Invest Agreement between the Tennessee Valley Authority, Nashville Electric Service, and Metro Government for the purchase of renewable energy. Can I get a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
So moved.
do we not get to discuss the bill as amended?
Yes, I'm sorry, moving too fast. Thank you for that, Councilwoman Suarez. So going back to Resolution RS 2020-440, the committee did recommend approval of the amendment, so we're on the bill as amended. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman Suarez.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask, and I don't know if anyone knows, I know this is 10 million from the state. Do we know if we will be getting any more, or is this it? I know we've been waiting to see how much the allocation is from the state, but is this the final amount, or do we know if will be any additional one from this one?
Director Cooper, or is there anyone from the administration that can speak to that?
I know that the state just announced today an additional amount of money that will be going to local governments, but someone from finance may have a better idea about that.
Looks like Mr. Jamison is on the line. I'm not sure if someone from finance is, but Mr. Jamison?
Thank you, Chair. I'll talk until a smarter person from finance and weigh in. Our understanding from a really that is not inclusive of Davidson County. That is not to the exclusion of future funding for Nashville, but we are currently not going to partake in the 115 announced today.
Okay. Thank you. My other question is that in the fiscal note analysis, it did state that this particular CARES Act is eligible for revenue losses and revenue replacement. Is it just to individuals? Can anyone speak specifically to that? Or is that something we can get later?
Mr. Jamison? Mr. Jamison, you're recognized.
Was unmuted. Councilor Suarez, could you repeat my apologies?
The fiscal note indicate, remember that when we start getting this CARES Act funding, the impression in the beginning was that it cannot go towards replacement of revenues. But in reading the fiscal note for this 10 million, it did have something like that. I don't know if anyone can expatiate on, is there any limit to that, or what does that mean specifically?
Yeah, I noticed it is a characterization of this particular million. I don't anticipate that will be applied to the 115. Whether or not it excuse ourselves from the addition on the 10 million, I do not know.
Is that something we can get later, please?
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Glover, you recognize?
Yeah. Can you hear me, Chair?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Mr. Jameson, I'm sorry, we're getting feedback. On the 115 or 110 million additional monies from the state, the last thing I heard was that we're not going to partake in that. Can you expound upon that, please?
I can. Unfortunately, not much. Our office had a very brief conversation with Butch Ely in his office today, who called to advise that Davidson County was not included within the counties that would be partaking from the 115 million. He did assure that that does not mean that we won't be eligible for other funding that may come through, but we're not on the list for the 115. That is the extent of what we know today.
Okay, so it's not something we chose not to participate in. We didn't have an option to participate in.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember, this is John Cooper. I would note that Mary Jo Wiggins is on the call and she has her hand up. She may be able to add.
Yes, I was about to recognize her. Ms. Wiggins?
Yes, and can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. Councilmember Suara, on the $10 million, those funds are not CARES Act funds. Those were from the local government grant that the governor's office announced. And the $10 million is the maximum that we could receive under that. So that is separate than the CARES Act. And then everything that Mr. Jameson shared on the 115 is accurate. We did not have a chance to apply, and it excluded Nashville and Memphis because of our direct allocations.
Thank you. I guess the part that I was asking about was the statement with regards to replacement of revenue or revenue substitute, even with this appropriation. So what does that mean exactly?
The $10 million from the local governments from that this resolution, it has no restrictions.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, it could be used as revenue replacement. It could be used for capital. It could be used for operating. It can be used for COVID or non-COVID. There are just simply no restrictions on it.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Councilwoman Bircher, your hand is raised.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Wiggins, I'm requesting that y'all provide communications to the chair and to the Budget and Finance Committee once it's decided upon how this $10 million will be expended. And I think it's in the same vein of the legislation that the body adopted as it related to appropriations of funds that we're receiving now.
Yes, that's my understanding of this resolution.
I do not see any other hands raised. We are on the resolution as amended. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Committee recommends the resolution for approval as amended.
1 second, Chair. I think Ms. Wiggins may have misunderstood. I'm asking for the itemization of it. Like the resolution, the analysis in itself, it specifies what it is. I would like to see that the itemization by department.
Yes, that is my understanding.
Okay, that will be provided to the chair in the Budget and Finance Committee also.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you so much.
Because this would be, Ms. Wiggins, this would be part of would this go into the pot that the committee is considering how to spend and coming up with a plan that will be presented to the council for approval?
I do not believe that was the intention.
Okay.
Chair, we just voted and approved to direct the appropriation in accordance with expenses for IT related.
Right.
Asking for is for the itemization of that by department, because it just specifies utility system upgrades, road projects, and public safety, but it doesn't tell us where.
Okay. And the amendment that we just voted on as well requires that it be a plan be submitted to the council for approval. And so that plan will include that itemization that you requested, Councilwoman Merchant. That's my understanding from Ms. Wiggins.
Thank you so much, Chair. I got on a little late, so I didn't hear the amendment. I apologize.
Okay. No problem. And Mr. Jameson, I know you and I talked earlier about Director Crumbo giving a preliminary update on our finances, and we were supposed to do that at the beginning. Moving too quickly, I forgot. Is Director Crumbo ready to give that report now, or he can give it at the end of the agenda items?
Madam Chair, he is available to provide a report to the full council tomorrow, and so if he's not, and now he'll be able to provide that. And we've already consulted with the vice mayor. He's agreeable to that, but he's also certainly willing to do the same for this committee if preferred.
Okay, because when we talked earlier, I understood you as saying that he would be presenting something today. Perhaps I misunderstood.
No, you're still correct, and he's ready and willing to provide it at both locations. But if you would prefer just to hear it all at once for the entire council, he is actually online now. You'll see him through Mary Jo Wiggins' connection, so he can present at any time you're comfortable, or hold it until tomorrow, whatever the chair's preference is.
I have a couple of council members with hands raised. Let me see if they are wanting something pertinent to what we're discussing now. Councilwoman Vercher.
Their protocol is the Director of Finance presents to the Budget and Finance Committee first, and he can present to the body later. But Budget and Finance Committee, he should present first.
Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman Vercher. Councilwoman Porterfield, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted you to know that I had trouble logging on, so I wanted to make sure that I was counted in the last vote. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Jameson, if Director Crumbo could go ahead and give his report to the committee now, and if the committee members have any questions, we can ask those questions and then move on with our agenda. Councilwoman Vercher, your hand is raised again.
Thank you so much, Chair. Also requesting for a written report to be provided what the Director of Finance is presenting to us. That's been protocol also. We get a verbal presentation that's followed up with a written presentation, a written letter communication to the chair and to the Budget and Finance Committee also. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman Vercher. Director Crumbo, are you on the line?
I am. I'm here with Mary Jo Wiggins.
All right, so we are ready to receive your report.
Yeah, I'm glad to do that. And I know Chair Mendez had set out a process for me to give a report, verbal, written, whatever is needed in the middle of August. But today I was asked if I would say a few words to the committee today, and I'm hoping to do that. And at least for now, I have some good news to share about our revenue forecasting for the first few months of the pandemic. But I'm fearful that that good news may be short-lived as the pandemic lingers and stay-at-home orders persist, and some of the economic forecasts are getting worse as opposed to better. And what I mean by that is that I think most everyone here will remember in the early days of the pandemic, say late March, early April, forecasts for health and the economy and so forth were very dire. Stock markets were tumbling. Economists were looking around the globe and thinking things look pretty bad. In our case, for the Metro government, what that really meant for that time of the year, being springtime, is that the biggest impact we'd be likely to see then would be our activities taxes, which I think all of you know include in large part our local sales option taxes, our business taxes, and so forth. And so as we conferred with the state, conferred with University of Tennessee, who consults with us, business leaders, and so forth, we followed most of the world really into an economic forecasting that looks like the so-called V, or the Nike swoosh I've heard it called, where it looks like we're going to have a pretty big drop off for a while, and slow recovery. And by the month, we were expecting, springtime would be pretty bad. And hopefully in the summer, particularly here in Nashville, where there's a lot of tourist activity and so forth, we'd start to see a climb out. And so by the numbers, we were expecting to see activities taxes relative to our budget for the year to be about 200 million or so less than that budget. And right now, we're still receiving data. It looks like, and this is great news, that we may only see about half of that loss, so something around 100 million or so, which is terrific. At a point, what we're learning about why there's such a difference for us and so many others is that it seems that the payroll protection program, CARES, some of the other relief that's flowed into the pocketbooks of consumers and businesses that help us generate that tax, those are expiring, some as soon as the end of this month. And so even though we've seen a nice unexpected increase over these first few months of the pandemic, the expiration of those programs is coming at a time where the pandemic is actually getting worse. I can't right now see any economic forecasts that they say things are going to get better. They may get worse, if not far worse. So at this moment, where I'm at is some good news for the first few months, but very, very cautious as we come into the beginning part of this fiscal year. We're going to continue to look at the data as it comes in. We'll certainly be updating you in August. And I guess just by way of metaphor, when I talked this over with the mayor earlier today, he made I think, the very wise quote that we're counting the runs as they come in, but the inning is not over. So we'll keep counting those runs. We'll let you know what the count looks like in August when it's scheduled. And we'll help you as our elected officials make the best decisions that we can about measuring and managing the affairs of our budget. That's really my report for now.
Okay, let me go through. I see several hands. Councilwoman Henderson.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me. I'm not a member of the committee, so I appreciate this. Is just a brief question. Mr. Crumbo, I was not able to hear you very well on the intercom or the shared thing you're using there. You mentioned as to revenue projections, you said something about 100 million. You were garbled at that point, and I wonder if you could just restate that sentence or two of your presentation. And then I wonder also if you can speak to the cash position, and if you all have kind of a daily cash on hand report. Is that something that we as council have access to, or is that something that you all kind of have daily? So clarification on the earlier point, and then a question about cash position and reporting. Thank you.
Yeah, glad to do that. Council member, can you hear me now? Yeah, Council Lady Henderson, can you hear me okay now?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, great. And so just in round numbers, we were expecting that the activity taxes for the last 3 months of our fiscal year, so April, May, and June, that we would see about 200 million less in taxes during that period than the budget that was passed by the council a year earlier. And good news, it looks like our loss will only be about half that. So roughly 100 million. There's a lot of data that comes to us, books and records to be closed and so forth. But right now, for the best data in our hands, that looks like where we'll be for that part of the pandemic period. As I said earlier, and it sounds like you can hear this, the forecasts from here on out are not good for the reasons I mentioned. And then you had another question there, and I couldn't hear the tail end of yours. I'm sorry.
No worries. I'll restate it. Thank you for clarifying on the earlier point. So my question was about cash position. And so just kind of daily cash report and where we are on that. That's not, as I've reflected on my service on budget and finance last term and in this moment, something that I think we all kind of look at the front of our analysis, right, and our 4% fund and some of the various things that are mentioned there, and we almost become kind of inured to the presence of that on our analysis. But in this moment, I'm very mindful of what our cash position is. And so I just wondered, is that something y'all are keeping up with daily? How is that structured? Could you be reporting that out to us? Or if not reporting out, give us a link to that. If you can just speak to cash position as it is today and going forward between now and August 15th, what might be the best way to keep us apprised of that?
Yeah, sure. So I really came into Mary Jo's office here just to give you this brief update. I didn't bring the cash information with me here, but easily put, I can look at what you're receiving today. I think I heard you mention a day's cash on hand, which isn't a metric that we look at each and every day here, but certainly one that could be calculated. I guess the easiest way to think of it right now, Council Lady, is that our cash position is going to be very much the same as it was at the end of the fiscal year, because we're just a few days, obviously, into July here, and then updated for things like the improvement in the activities taxes and so forth that we're talking about here. More broadly, and something that just may be more helpful to think about at this moment, is that when we passed that budget a few weeks ago, and it seems like we're on a good path here to restore our fund balances and our cash positions and all those things that we talked about. And I think there's a perception of many that at that moment that those fund balances all of a sudden were there and cash was there, when in reality we really wouldn't see that restoration until much later in this year, when property taxes and so forth that were controversial there are actually collected, which is really a wintertime activity for us here. And so, again, good news that we've seen a bump for these, I guess, these last 3 months of fiscal year, or the first 3 months of the pandemic as it's being referred now. And it's given us a little more cushion right now as we come into this fiscal year, as opposed to waiting till much later in the year when that would actually be triggered. So I'm glad to look at the cash reporting that you're receiving today. I don't recall the bells and whistles there, and certainly glad to just confer with you one-on-one, and any needs you may have, we'll try and address those.
I appreciate that. I will just follow up with you after that. And so again, not suggesting that it should be something that's daily, just interested to know, do you all look at it weekly, or, just kind of the implications, somewhat in follow up to Ms. Wilson's letter to us of last week, and just wanting to kind of contextualize that. So I will follow up. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So similar question, Mr. Crumo, if you could repackage those numbers in terms of the fiscal 20 budget and the fiscal 21 budget. So we thought we were going to be short 200 million, and we're only short 100 million for fiscal 20. Or were there other things that enabled us to close the books so that we're starting in fiscal 21 with a clean slate, so to speak, and how does that affect our outlook for that year? Can you sort of separate it into those two budgets?
Yeah, glad to do that. So when we talk about what we were really thinking for the last 3 months of the last fiscal year, is that just like any other year, there was a budget that had been passed, the year before, and we're coming into the very last fiscal quarter. And so when we talk about having a $200 million loss, what we're really saying is that we would have $200 million less than activities taxes. And activities taxes, again, include about half of that is usually related to local option sales taxes, another big chunk for business taxes, and then from there, liquor taxes and so forth are a much smaller portion of it. And so to unpack a little further, what we've really seen is that while we're expecting about 200, it looks like it's going to be about half of that. And as we're talking to University of Tennessee, business leaders and others, what it seems is that the payroll protection plan, other relief programs that have really come to the pocketbooks of consumers and businesses, that money has been spent. In other words, those relief programs really work, really helped. In our case, we see that through some revenues in our activities taxes and collections. So that's great for us as a metro government. But as we look a little deeper, this will be to your next fiscal year question. As we round the corner and we come into this month of July, we're seeing the pandemic worsen. We're seeing just across the country, safer at home programs be extended. We're seeing schools delay their openings. And I mean, you can see in the media as well as I can that we're seeing, health concerns persist, if not get worse. We're seeing the economy persist at a low level, if not get worse. And so it's really early right now to say what the rest of this year really will look like. So my own feeling right now is that economic modeling for a pandemic doesn't really, exist. I mean, this is new for everyone. And I think we were wise to, follow most of the world into this so-called V-shaped economic curve. But I think what most of the world is really experiencing is that that first part of the V hasn't been quite as steep as most were expecting. But likewise, the next portion of this doesn't look like it's going to be climbing up nearly as quickly as thought. And I won't lay the committee here with a big commentary on that now. I know we're planning in August, but if you really listen to our Federal Reserve Chair and so many economists, that would be the general consensus. So at this moment, I think it's just a little too early to tell, but I feel lucky is what happens to us, but I'm rather discouraged about the outlook coming into this year. And I think the mayor was right. Let's count the runs as they come in, but let's realize that this inning just is not over.
So, and just to make sure, so do we still have to pay money for 2020, or were we able to close the books between not losing as much as we thought and the PPE? Or can we move on from that, and then we're just dealing with what we've got to pay for in 2021?
Yeah, so Council, we said we're going to close the books and move on. I guess what I'm thinking about is that, yes, we're in the process of closing the books for 2020. That takes a few months. Where I know there's a lot of confusion as to why it takes so long is that we do a lot of interdepartmental borrowing for the tax anticipation notes. And so I think one way to think of this right now is that we're wrapping all that up and doing what we would normally do there. So it'll be a while before we actually have the precise number. Right now, what I'm saying is that as we receive our end of collections from the state and look at what we collect directly, we've got some really good news from this last fiscal quarter. And coming into this one, it gives me comfort. We got some cash in our hand we weren't expecting. That's great, but I'm just discouraged that as these relief programs expire and as businesses say, hey, I am really teetering here, I'm having problems, that we as a metro government will see less revenue. And, it's, I think, probably as painful for all of you as elected officials is for me to think that on the one hand, it's good for the metro government, is not so good for the taxpayers, right? So it's a bit of a conundrum as we think as to what side of that ledger that we're on here. So we're early in July, and we'll be continuing to report to you as transparent, with the information we have and what our thinking is about the revenue as the year progresses.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Next, I have Council Members Sledge, Glover, and Bircher. Councilmember Sledge, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'll make my question brief. Thank you, Director Crumbo, for the update. My question relates to what you just spoke about some of these programs ending. One of those programs being the additional $600 a week in unemployment insurance. I just wanted to ask you if you've had any discussions with the committee that was set up. We haven't gotten, I don't know of an update that we've gotten from them yet, and I didn't know if you've had conversations with them about kind of the things you just relayed to us about what we're going to be potentially staring down the barrel of regarding revenues that we may not see over the next quarter because of those federal aid packages ending, just like you talked about.
Yeah, so when you talk about the committee that was just formed, are you referring to the CARES committee?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I did not meet with them personally, but Mary Jo Wiggins is here and can tell you, I think, firsthand what was discussed. I'll be surprised if they did touch on this. They got very deep into it. This is just an emerging topic. And as one business leader put it to me locally, Kevin, you're wrong. It's not changing by the day. It's changing by the hour here. So Mary Jo, you want to address that?
Yes, the committee did meet last Thursday, the 16th. And we really spent that hour going through the guidance. It was pretty guidance heavy. We walked them through the timeline and the resolution that was included by the council for their initial recommendations by August 3rd. Our next meeting will be Thursday the 30th. So we didn't really talk a lot about what Director Crumbo has been referring to. We really tried to present an example of what other cities have been doing, what some of the expenses that Metro has already incurred. We did let them know the expenditures that have already been approved to be allocated by Metro Council. And we just gave them kind of a preview of what we're looking for them to make those recommendations to the council by August 3rd.
Thank you. Last year, I know there's people in the queue, so thanks. I appreciate it. Ms. Wiggins, Mr. Crumbo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Councilmember Glover. Councilmember Glover. Is Councilmember Glover on the phone, on the call? He may have gotten disconnected. Councilmember Vercher.
Hold on, I'm here.
Okay.
Oh God, mine is easy. Thank you so much, Director Crumbo. Mine is simple, and I can't remember. I know it comes out after we close out the fiscal year. When will the June BAR be available on the website? So I can I want to look at that.
I tell you, Council Lady, I don't know the answer to that right off the top of my head, but I will check as soon as we're done and send you a text or an email and let you know.
Okay, thank you so much. And I know it was asked by Councilwoman Henderson earlier. Our BARs is a good gauge for you to determine where revenues and expenditures and so forth are. And I know a lot of council members don't do what I do. I extract it out and do my own little model. But it's a great resource, and I know we communicated that to Budget and Finance Committee members and also council members over the years as it relates to where they can find that information.
Okay. Yeah, and so just while we're on the topic here, one of the things I've learned since I've been on board here is that, through the years, there's been a lot of reports and so forth that are requested by the council, whether it's from finance or others. And, likewise, I think you'll be...
I'll read them all, so you need to know that.
No, I understand. So what I was saying, I entered into a discussion with Director Cooper and Councilman Mendez and some others early on about trying to really get the totality of those and which ones are used and which ones aren't, which ones are meaningful and which ones aren't. So hopefully here as we come into this fiscal year, we'll be able to reconcile that and get you some reporting packages that if they're not as helpful as they could be today, we'll do our best there. Then certainly add two things that may be more meaningful as we go through. I really respect Council Lady Henderson asking about days on cash. That's not as much a government concept normally as it is a corporate concept, but in this day and age, those two are getting a lot closer together from a measurement standpoint. So we'll be doing the best we can for financial reporting. There's an awful lot on the website today, and you're always welcome to call me, call Mary Jo, usual crowd here. We're here to help.
Now, Director Crumbo, so to Councilwoman Henderson's point, because how I do it is a little tedious, would we be able to because that would come out of she's talking about cash, so that would come from the treasurer side of the house, so to speak. And I do know we do get something from that side. I just can't recall the frequency. I believe it's quarterly.
Yeah, sure. So I'll
as it relates to cash operations, collections, the hotel occupancy privilege tax, short-term rental occupancy tax, all those slew of taxes.
Yeah. So preview of coming attractions. I actually have the first draft. In fact, it's
okay.
Calculation here. So Brandon Hess, who's really one of our up-and-comers in finance, he's just done a great job through this whole process. He's creating a summary for us that takes those top 10, 12 tax categories, local sales option, the others I mentioned, is breaking those down by month, by quarter, which fund they roll to, and so forth, to give you a really nice summary coming forward. And I've seen the beginnings of that here the last week or two, and give me another week or two to work with him and the rest of the team to perfect that. And right now, I'm actually planning to start posting that for you each month as we get those results, because frankly, I think where we're headed here is that we're all so uncertain about our health, about the economy that's going to follow our health. And I think we're going to dig in for the long term and realize this type of thinking and analysis is here to stay. And so I know it's not been real commonplace to report that way, but I think here it's just going to be, super, super important that we get that information, help all of you make the best decisions you can, because it's not lost on me just how painful it was to talk about property tax increases and so forth, and the desire for certainties around that, and making sure our metro government does well through the pandemic. At the same time, looking at we've got some of the other ways that we can generate revenue, and what's that look like in this period of uncertainty. So we'll be doing our best to get information in your hands to help you make the best decisions you can for the public.
Thank you so much, Director Cromwell. And this is my last question, Chair. Can we also get an updated pension actuarial report?
Yes, so that's actually a bright spot for the Metro government right now. Our pension investments have performed amazingly well through this. And my hat's off to the committee that's run that for so many years. I get the privilege of sharing it and kind of riding their success right now. But yes, I'm delighted to do that. I can't recall exactly when the annual report is issued on that, but we certainly have a monthly one and a quarterly one that the committee reviews. And if those aren't posted, or even if they are, I'll get you a link and get you the latest and greatest on that.
Thank you so much, Director. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bircher. Councilman Glover, are you on the call?
I think I am now. I don't know what happened. It dropped me a while ago. So I was trying to listen to everything, and it was coming in and out on the audio. I think I heard Council Lady Allen ask for the revised numbers of what we were anticipating, but I don't want to be redundant on what I was going to ask for. Is that what I heard? Is that the revised sales tax, the revised various taxes that made up that $200 million shortfall that was anticipated?
Yeah, so Councilman Glover, there's two components there. There's the look back, if you will, so the last quarter of the fiscal year, and the calculation of what the forecast or reforecast would have been for that period, right? And then coming into this year, we had already accounted for, you may not have heard this part if you dropped off, kind of the second half of the so-called V curve. So that was built into the revenues that we budgeted for anyway. And so we've got some assumptions around that we're glad to share.
Okay. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't say this. I spent a lot of time on the phone with a lot of folks that did not qualify to have their taxes frozen. I had multiple people crying on the phone with me. I've heard us say, well, Metro government's healthy. Well, there's a lot of people out here that are not. And so I truly hope that we will do the right thing, because in the long run, the city will not be healthy if the people are not healthy. And so based on numbers I saw last Thursday, we certainly look like we're doing much better. I hope that we will keep in mind the people who actually pay all our bills, our taxpayers. And, you know, I would like for us to come back, revisit. And, you know, it's wonderful that the government feels like they're healthy, but there's a lot of people who don't. So I really hope that we will come back and have a earnest conversation about that. Our taxpayers deserve it. Thank you, Chair.
And Councilmember O'Connell had his hand up, but before you speak, Councilmember O'Connell, Director Cooper, in the substitute budget that was passed by council, there's the requirement that Director Crumbo present a report to the full council by August 15th, correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And I can tell the committee that the rationale behind that August 15th deadline was so that the council could potentially reassess the property tax rate and potentially adjust it. And I know we have a deadline by which that would have to be done before property tax bills go out. And when is that deadline?
So we have heard from the trustee that the property tax bills need to get to the printer, so to speak, by September 1st so that they can go out the 1st of October as required by state law. So the council would have to act before the end of August if it was going to alter the tax levy.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, may I expand on that, please?
Sure.
So, Mr. Cooper, in order to change anything, would that require a bill or just a resolution?
It would be an ordinance on 3 readings, 3 separate days.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This one, I guess, is for Mr. Crumbo. All right. So, as a member who presented a budget proposal that was deemed not structurally balanced, I'm curious to know if the way we are structuring the budget is in fact based on revenue forecasts like this. I'd like to better understand the structural piece. So if we're off in our forecast by $100 million, that's a substantial amount of revenue. And so I'm curious how we make a declaration that some piece of the budget is structural in a way that can expand or contract within some given window of potentially up to $100 million.
Yeah, sure. So it's a great question. And before I answer that, though, I just got a note while we're here for Council Lady Vircher that the BARS report that you're asking about is usually prepared and delivered around the end of September. So you may be muted there. I just wanted to let you know that information came in. Let's see, Councilman O'Connell. So on structurally balanced. So structurally balanced, as we talked about, during the budget cycle, really means that every effort's been made to match the recurring component of revenues with recurring expenses. And so set out your budget year with the best information that you have. Look at your reasonable forecast, and that really is how we determine something to be structurally balanced. If something is clearly a one-time item, right? And I think that in your instance, I know you were a big advocate for the municipal lending fund at the time. That's a one-time program, regrettably not one we were eligible for. But in any event, that would have been really a one-time component. One that was pretty easily to look to our state comptroller, who really has been adamant about structurally balanced budgets across the state and easy to identify. Here, activities taxes by definition are recurring. They're based on an activity that happens year after year after year. Here we were just really looking at a really unprecedented event, one-time event. It's happened, it goes down, and it remains to be seen as to whether we've got a permanent condition or a temporary condition with that item. So hopefully that helps you answer your question. Structurally, it's just recurring versus recurring.
I do appreciate that. I think for me, it was less about the use of a facility more so than part of what my budget anticipated was the actual potential that in fact our sales tax collections might come in considerably ahead of those reforecasts. And so I don't know, if it turns out that the FY21 forecasts were wrong and we are in fact operating in what was called a structurally balanced budget, but was off by another $100 million to our favor. I know plenty of Metro property owners are going to hope that we're, when you cite best information, that we are in fact using that and applying that for a levy.
Yeah, so we're so early here in the year to determine whether we're going to see activities stay the way they are or not. I don't have an answer for you, a good one or a bad one, as to what it's going to look like the rest of the year. But as Director Cooper was describing, there are opportunities coming up to look at our forecast, where are we, and make changes if the mayor and the council decide they want to do that. But at this moment, I just don't really have any reason to know whether we're going to see a continuation of the last few months or we're not.
Well, and I guess the final point I would make along those lines is, I know you were citing the worsening impact of COVID-19. I guess the only point I would make about that is we have, as a Metro government, some amount of control of the levers of how much that community spread occurs, right? I mean, we know our key metrics are in the red and yellow zone on a majority of the metrics we're tracking. And in some ways, that's a result of decisions we have made as a government. So if we want to make a safer environment for economic activity, that is to some extent within our power, even as a local only government.
Yeah. So, Councilor, I'm not certain what you're referring to there, but I
guess I'm saying you were suggesting that there's still a lot of risk and volatility out there related to uncertainty about the spread of COVID-19. And I'm saying we have seen that we can manage this to a point where we maintain a rate of community spread of less than 1, and we could do that again if we so chose.
And are you referring to compliance with our safer orders and masks? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, sure. And, something that hasn't come up here in the questions thus far, but as you might expect is big on my mind at the moment, is that, here we're talking about revenue. I was asked to just address, what's coming here in these first 3 weeks of July. As we look at worsening conditions and so forth, I think we do find ourselves in a slot where we now have to look at, if we as a Metro government, look at the revenue side, we cannot ignore the expense side, right? And that was much discussed during the budget period. And the best thinking at the time was that this V curve would come true, that, we'd start to see some recoveries and our services, in which, government services tend to go up in periods of crisis, not down. Here, this is just unprecedented. No one knows really what to expect, but I don't think that, at least from my standpoint, we'll be moving forward looking at just revenue only. I think that we're going to have to revisit, if this is going to be prolonged, our expense structure and what our community is going to need and what we can actually pay for here. Because on a prolonged basis, revenue won't be enough. It may not be enough if things get really bad. So we're starting to look at that.
Sorry to interrupt. I guess the way that I would clarify here by way of a final question, then I will give it back to the chair. So what I'm hearing you say is that neither finance nor the administration anticipates coming forward with a proposal for a lower levy based on where our current forecasts are for FY21.
So right now, I don't have a decision about that. Certainly not encouraged by the economic forecasts that we're seeing and seeing a good reason to say, hey, wow, things last quarter were just wrong, or an over predictor, an under predictor. It's just a little early to tell. So we'll be coming back together in August, and I'll be giving you the best information I have at that time as well. And we'll see whether it warrants a reforecast for the rest of the year or not.
Great. Thank you, Director Crumbo. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Councilman O'Connell. And I want to get through the rest of our agenda. I know this is a hot topic and we can talk about this probably for a couple of hours. But I do want to move on. But I do see that Councilwoman Swara has her hand up and she hasn't spoken on this topic. So I do want to recognize Councilwoman Swara. And I did see your hand as well, Councilman Glover. So if you have something that you can keep to 1 minute, that would be great. But Councilwoman Swara, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Crombo, thank you for the report. I'm excited that the forecast is better than what we had, and there's a potential for us to make adjustment. But I wanted to clarify with you, I think it's something we've talked about before, that based on trend, one of the reasons that could account for our numbers better is because even though people may not be going out to the stores to shop, people are buying online. And so if that trends continue, we not then be prudent to assume that the numbers will continue to not be as bad?
Yes, so that is possible. And what you're really referring to there is what economists call the substitution effect, meaning, at one point you went to the mall or you went out to someplace else, maybe purchase some clothing or food or any other consumable that was subject to a tax or a fee of ours. And instead of doing that, you moved online to do that. And the economy has just never really seen a big movement like that. And there's no really great forecasting models to tell us what that substitution will be. And I know I talked about that back during the budget period, so I won't repeat all of that here, but that's big in our minds. And I think even more important now than it would have been a few years ago because of what's called the Wayfair laws, which is something that's come into place that forces sales and use taxes to be traced to and paid where they are generated. And that's been a really fuzzy topic online for a lot of years, but the technology is there and the will of tax collectors and so forth to track it down is there. And that's made it much easier for local governments like ours to do a good job of tracking things and collecting them in their own district. So
the other part also of the assumption also on the expenses side is that we've talked about this a whole lot. A lot of the CARES money is supposed to be for CARES related expenses. So if that train of thought continues and even let's say the pandemic continues, then that CARES Act money, the restriction that was placed on it for it to be CARES related should be able to absorb some of those expenses. Is that correct?
Yes, so with respect to CARES, there's the ever-evolving guidelines related to the money here and then the money at other places within the county. And I just really have to look to the CARES committee here to make the decision as to whether they will disperse those particular monies back to Metro-related expenses or whether they will go to some of the other programs that I know Councilman O'Connell and some of the others that have spoken here today have been proponents of. I think Councilman Sledge is starting to refer to potentially business relief uses of that. So that's why we've got the committee, and I think it's really in those hands as to what we receive here as a Metro government.
And I thank you, Chair, and thank you, Director Crombo. I say all of that to be able to say that with the substitution assumption and with the assumption of being able to recoup some of the expenses, then I'm hoping that the true savings at the end of the day will be a savings that we can actually apply towards reducing the tax levy. So that's just what I was trying to get to, that if those assumptions should stay true, then hopefully we can change our estimates and hopefully we can change the rates as well. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And look, I know there's all of you are elected to represent those taxpayers. I'm appointed to help you with that. And I am as compassionate to helping the taxpayers and doing the best thing we can for them in a very balanced way for as long as I'm here. I live here, I pay taxes here, my family is here. And so I understand that very, very well, and we're going to do everything we can to look out for our constituents.
Councilman Glover, do you have something quick?
Yes, I'll make a very quick statement. All right, given what I've heard so far, that we anticipate that business may not be as good, et cetera, I think it's being more important than ever then that the cuts that I've put into my budget that I'd recommended on reducing the cost inside of metropolitan government and utilizing those cost-saving measures, we need to truly come back and revisit that. We're asking businesses to do that across the city. I think it's time for metropolitan government to do the same. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Glover, and thank you, Director Crumbo. Will the report that you give tomorrow evening, will that be written, or are you submitting the written report by that August 15th date?
Yeah, so I don't know that there's a written report required in August. I don't recall. I know I'll be reporting in some way, but today was really just in the last few hours, and was I think intended just to be a few minutes, which may be frustrating to you and others trying to get on. And I'm delighted to stay and help you. Tomorrow evening, I'm glad to do that for the whole council. Or if this has been sufficient and you as a committee just want to report to the council what we talked about here, I'm here to help you.
Well, I definitely want you to be available for the entire council tomorrow evening, because there will likely be questions from other council members outside of the committee. And I don't have the language from that amendment about the August 15th report, but I think it would be most helpful to have something in writing.
Thank you.
All right, committee, we are going to move forward with our agenda. Resolution 2020-441, Mendez, Toombs, and others approves the Green Invest Agreement between the Tennessee Valley Authority, Nashville Electric Service, and Metro Government for the purchase of renewable energy. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
Properly moved, seconded. There any discussion? I don't see any. Oh, Councilwoman Suara, do you have something to say on this? I see your hand raised. Or is that from last time?
I guess I understand this to mean that we're not getting to the agreement yet, and this is just to get us started. My only question is, there's a language in there that says that the finance director can then make the, I can't remember the name of the amendment, which is a financial amendment. So I just want to know, when we do approve this, does that mean that when it's approved, an agreement can be entered later on, or would the council be privy before any financial transaction is take place?
Mr. Jameson is on the call. Mr. Jameson.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councilmember Swan. The secondary agreements that could result from this first agreement are so-called tranche agreements. Those are typically 60 months or more, and so by Metro Code, they would come back to the council for review and approval. That is exactly what we would want. So by 4th of the Metropolitan Code Council review. And thank you for your preliminary comment. You were absolutely correct. This is essentially a non-disclosure agreement with the Tennessee Valley Authority that allows us to get TVA's specific details on a possible renewable energy project. We do have several individuals online from TVA, including Peyton Butler, Liz Brooks, Jimmy Allen, as well as from NES, specifically Antonio Carroll and Tony Richmond, and the team of Metro officials who've been working on this, Tara Ladd, Mary Beth Eicher, Paul Creech, and we are encouraging any and all questions today, simply because, as reluctant as I am to say this, TVA does have a bit of a timeline for approval of this before August. So a deferral of this will be opportunity. But this agreement is non-financially binding. It allows us access to information and other structural information. Should we decide it is not a good deal for Metro, it is not binding and we can walk away. But this is, one last final comment, this is our first real aggressive pursuit of legislation that Councilman O'Connell shepherded through at the end of last term, where we established a renewable energy portfolio standard. And we are required by the code to satisfy our energy needs of certain percentages through certain tiers of renewable energy, including solar. And this would be a step in that direction should it be financially feasible. But again, not financially binding. We just have a bit of a deadline, and we would ask for the council's approval.
Councilwoman Suara, do you have anything else?
No, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jamison.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do not see any other hands. So all those in favor of Resolution 2024-41, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Committee recommends approval. Resolution 2020-442/Mendez and others amends provisions of substitute resolution RS 2017-910 relating to the construction, improvement, and maintenance of a Major League Soccer stadium, and further amends the ground lease between the Metro Board of Fair Commissioners and the Nashville Soccer Holdings Development LLC for the construction of a mixed-use development at the fairground. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
It has been properly moved and seconded. I will recognize the sponsor, Councilmember Sledge.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And there is I guess an amendment on this that gets the exhibit onto it as well. So I would move the amendment.
Second on the amendment.
All right, it's been properly moved. We are all. Do you want to speak to any?
Yeah. Real simply, and we could talk about this more in the bill, the exhibit is the actual visual that discusses the building locations that are in the bill.
Okay, I'm going to make sure discussion on the, Councilmember Glover, do you have a comment on the amendment, or you talk on the bill?
No, ma'am, it's on the bill itself.
All right. All those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we are on the resolution as amended. Member Sledge.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'll be brief in my description, and I'll turn it over to the administration if they have anything to add. This is essentially the ratification of the agreement put forth in a term sheet between the team, Nashville Soccer Club, and Metro, in this case, the mayor's office. They came to an agreement regarding basically three main points. One was a $200,000 annual lease payment for the mixed-use portion of the development. The other was, second was removing the backstop, as it's called. Basically, written into the original agreement was a 5-year period where if revenues fell short of a certain amount, that Metro would help make that gap up. All that is gone, so the team is 100% responsible for all payments. That basically has a value of about $35 million. And so in the third portion regards an amendment that was passed on the original agreement that had to do with a 24-month period that if the team did not play, the lease would revert, the land would revert to Metro. Basically, all properties would revert to Metro. That has come up in the negotiations. What came up was the difficulty of financing the mixed-use piece. This is solely on the mixed-use piece. So the administration, in that term, I don't want to speak for them, but in that term sheet agreed to remove that amendment. So again, this bill 100% reflects the agreement that was come to between the administration and the team. And with that, I'll turn it over to the administration in case I got anything wrong or they want to add anything.
Mr. Jamison, did you want to add anything?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councilman Sledge. That is all entirely accurate, and the council will recall at the beginning of the term. The mayor had several concerns about the structure of the short that Metropolitan government was on the hook for. You may recall during the first 5 years, we were guaranteeing certain minimums of sales and ticket tax revenues of $4 million, and to the extent it fell short of that, Metro was on the hook for that. Years 6 through 10, we were guaranteeing a minimum of $3 million annually. And again, if we were to fall short of that, that was entirely on taxpayers. The mayor negotiated and negotiated and negotiated, and $35 million to the better later spared that risk from the public. The $200,000 lease payment guarantee for the mixed use further exonerates the public from that risk exposure, which was very important to the mayor. But conversely, there was a provision that was very important to the team, according to their representatives, the so-called Freeman Amendment, whereby this would enact default proceedings and reversionary clauses if Major League Soccer events did not take place for a period in consecutive 24 months. That was devastating to their ability to secure commercial credit and financing. They made that abundantly clear on multiple occasions. We do want them to proceed, after all, including with the mixed-use development, which was a focus of several of the community benefit agreements provisions. So we do agree with them and ask for the council's support in lifting that amendment and approving this resolution.
Councilmember Glover, you're recognized.
Okay, so Mr. Cooper, are you still with us?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. I'm going to ask the question of you, if you wouldn't mind, Chair, because this is, I think, a little bit more the legalese stuff. So, Director Cooper, based on the agreement that is presented to us now, was any of this caused because of the court's decision on how it was handled?
No, sir.
Okay. And on this, now that the $4 million and the $3 million has been removed, the lease payment has gone up. In the event, the MLS, and my reading of the MLS and understanding it, that if they pull the franchise, there's really not a whole lot the team can, quote, do about it. And all of a sudden, we don't have a team here anymore. Are the taxpayers still on the hook for whatever dollar amount is left out there that has to be paid on this stadium? Because it's my understanding the taxpayers are still the ones who are securing the bond. It's not the team. It's just, do we have anything in writing that gives full protection for the taxpayers?
There is a team guarantee whereby the team ownership or the team itself guarantees the lease payments, regardless of whether the team is playing there or not. But that's the extent of Metro's guarantee.
So what is our exposure if the team, if something happens, and look, we've been talking about all the bad things that could happen and why we might not be able to adjust tax rates right now. What is the exposure the taxpayers have in this situation?
I will give what I think could be the worst case scenario, and then if someone from the administration has a different idea, I suppose if the stadium got built or mostly built, and then the MLS went away and the team defaulted, and the team itself filed bankruptcy or whatever, then you're right. I mean, Metro is building the stadium. The Sports Authority is building the stadium, so the Sports Authority would have to find another tenant for the stadium in order to generate some revenue to pay the debt service.
Okay, so in the meantime, who would be paying the debt service? The taxpayers?
Backed by Metro's non-tax revenues, so it's not property tax dollars, but it is Metro revenue.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Glover. Councilwoman Bircher.
Thank you, Chair. I think with everything as it related to this particular deal, I would like for us as a committee, I think we need to get an update as it relates to this project, because it's such a huge project. I'm hearing that it's going to remove all financial liability from the government on one hand. On the other hand, I'm also hearing we're still going to have a financial liability. And on RS 2017-910, I'm not understanding which certain provisions in totality that this new resolution is actually removed. And I know Mr. Jameson went through some of them. I just don't know if that's all of them, because that resolution was 6 pages. I say all that to say I would like to see us do a 1 meeting deferral on this. I move for a 1 meeting deferral.
Is there it has been moved and seconded to have a 1 meeting deferral. Did we discuss a deferral motion, Director Cooper?
It's the motion on the floor.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the deferral? I don't think I see anyone. Let's see. Councilmember Allen, discussion on the deferral?
Yes, on the deferral. Can we get someone from the administration or law to let us know if there are any implications to a deferral, or if it doesn't have any time sensitivity to it?
Is that Director Cooper or Mr. Jameson?
I know that Mary Kavara from representing the team is on the call, as well as Mr. Jameson.
Madam Chair, that's exactly what I was, where the chair was aware. We have the team as well as Ron Gobble, who's supervising the development of the stadium.
So is it Ms. Kavara, or am I pronouncing that correctly? I apologize.
Yep. Madam Chair, I'm here and would be happy to answer Council Lady Allen's question. The timing, after going through significant delays that started in 2019 through 2020, we are on a timeline to get the stadium completed in March of 2022, as we just shared with the Sports Authority last week. As part of that, the mixed use development is a critical component, and being able to commence construction of what's known as Block C is extremely important, so that that construction can line up with the construction of the stadium. We're at a point now where any delay starts to cause us a day-for-day delay. We are very sensitive to everything that's going on. We're also aware that, somebody pointed out that the mixed use development is tied to the community benefits agreement. And our team had worked hard with the administration to work on the timing to achieve taking this bill to the committees this week, as well as to council tomorrow. And so it does begin to create some hardship.
Councilmember Allen, did you have any follow-up to that? Make sure I'm not skipping over anybody.
Sorry, I had to find my unmute button. No, I mean, I think it's important for us to be aware of this. I do appreciate the need for more information, and I would confirm Councilmember Bercher's request for additional information, but I am not able to support the deferral. I don't think this piece needs to hold on and hinge on that.
Councilmember Sledge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to follow up on the deferral motion. I obviously supporting what the team has mentioned and what a couple other members have mentioned. For those who have not gone out to the site, grading on this site is occurring, and work is ongoing, just basically every moment that they have the opportunity. I mean, it is massive earthwork that's occurring right there. So the ability to get basically everything in sync is fairly important. And as everybody knows, these parcels obviously are right next to each other. So I would not support a deferral, and I would ask members not to support the deferral because it's kind of important, as Ms. Kavara noted, that everything starts moving in sync with each other so that these items can support each other. Thanks.
Councilmember Bercher, did you have something to say on the deferral? I see your hand is up still.
No, I've already made my motion.
Okay. Councilmember Suara.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not opposed to the deferral, in support of it, but I just want to ask some clarifying question from Director Cooper?
Is it related to the deferral motion?
It will determine whether I will support the deferral or not.
Okay.
So, Director Cooper, is it my understanding that part of the amendment or part of the resolution is to remove the guarantee by Metro?
That's correct. The only change that's made to the resolution that Councilmember Vercher referred to is to remove the guarantee that the tax revenues will reach those thresholds. So by removing the guarantee, then the team is on the hook for all of the rent payments which cover the debt service on the stadium.
Okay, which is something that we want. The other thing is that is it also true that with the clause that removes the defaults because of not playing games, that it does not affect Metro financially? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So basically what we're trying to do here is something that should help the taxpayers in a way or not. I want to make sure that I understand it right before I vote. That's what I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am. This offers additional protections for the taxpayer that were not there originally.
And if we do not approve this resolution, then the agreement that was originally in place, the one that has the guarantee and everything stays as is. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
All right. Well, then in that case, I would not be supporting a deferral. Thank you.
I do not see any additional hands up, so we are on the motion to defer for one meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
No. No.
Director, do we need, Director Cooper, do we need to do a roll call? Unless you could tell.
If you could have I only heard 2 ayes, but if you could have them raise their hand as voting in support so we can get those counted.
So those in favor of a one meeting deferral, raise your hand.
Okay, so that's 2 in favor.
Okay.
And then if there are you could ask for any abstentions, and if there are no abstentions, then everyone else would be counted as being in opposition.
If you're abstaining, raise your hand.
So that would be 2 in favor, 9 against, 0 abstentions on the deferral motion.
So the motion to defer one meeting fails. So we are back on resolution 2020-442 as amended. Is there any additional discussion? Councilwoman Vercher, did you have additional discussion?
I did. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Deferral motion passed. Failed, I'm sorry. So, Attorney Cooper, I don't know if this question is for you or for the administration. Again, like I was stating, this has been a project where there's been multiple pieces of legislation on it. So it's kind of been, for lack of better words, a piecemeal deal. No insult intended. I'm just speaking of the legislative process that this project has undergone. Is this bond still $225 million?
The bond amount, the bond authorization has not changed. That's correct. So any amount in excess of that would be covered by the team.
Okay. And Attorney Cooper, all revenues, ticket sales generated by the stadium, that's still exclusively going to the team?
It's going to pay the debt service on the stadium.
Okay.
Yes.
So where are we as it relates to the construction, like maintenance for the stadium too. Is that now going to be assumed by the team as well?
The maintenance costs have always been the team's responsibility, and that's not changing.
Okay. And also to the Freeman Amendment, this resolution is taking that amendment out?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's what I needed to know. I was in support of the amendment being part of the deal. If someone from the team can express why they are having a difficult time obtaining financing if the project is so viable.
Good afternoon. This is Dirk Melton. Thank you for your question. I'd be happy to try to answer that. When the legislation was passed in September of 2018, we immediately became aware that the Freeman Amendment, as it's called, presented a challenge for us in that commercially reasonable financing would not be available because the land underneath the buildings is ground leased. And if the land would revert back to Metro in the event of a default under the amendment, then that affects the bank's collateral, which would be the buildings upon which upon which was built on the land. So we identified that issue and ran that to ground with a number of local and national lending institutions that we would use for both construction lending and permanent financing when the projects were complete, and verified and confirmed that that was a non-starter from a financing standpoint. So that was the reason for our desire and request to have that amendment removed.
Thank you so much. Attorney Cooper, I would like to publicly state that, again, I believe we need more dialogue around this. That amendment was put on to protect the city in the event the project wasn't successful. So now we have a resolution that's removing that protection from the city. So on one hand, part of this solution is providing some protection for the city. On the other hand, this resolution is exposing a greater risk to the city. And with this resolution removing that amendment, Chair, I'd like to be recorded as a no.
Thank you, Councilwoman Vercher. I don't see any other hands up, so we are on Resolution 2020-442, Mendez and others as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
I know Councilmember Vercher says she was a no as well.
That was Glover for the other no.
Gotcha, Councilmember Glover.
Madam Chair, that would be 9 in favor, 2 against.
All right, the committee recommends approval of the resolution as amended. Moving on to Resolution 2020-443, Allen, Toombs, and others authorizes grants not exceeding $2 million from the Barnes Fund for affordable housing to New Level CDC for the express purpose of constructing and rehabilitating affordable or workforce housing. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded. I'll turn it over to the sponsor, Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is something that's long overdue. This was a project that was one of the chosen projects when we were awarding Barnes Fund money last year, and we unfortunately knew that we were in financial difficulty at that point and weren't able to allocate all the funding. And so this is the beginning of finishing those. And Kay, we may have a representative from New Level CDC on the call. And I know she would be willing to speak during the Affordable Housing Committee. I don't see her. Anna, if you want to speak briefly, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So as Council Lady Allen was mentioning, this is one of the projects that was impounded in December of 2019. So right away, you can see we're here right at the new fiscal year with the new allocations of funds. This is one of 3 projects that were part of the impoundment. So the other 2 will be coming to you in August. But the reason that this one has been expedited is because New Level got creative to make sure that the deal could go forward, but they will be facing additional financing charges come August 1st, and so we wanted to make sure that this was moved forward. As a reminder, this is 51 home ownership units at 302 Williams Avenue in Madison, Tennessee. And they will be marketed to those in the 60 to 80% AMI. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, so able to accommodate families, which we are talking about all the time. That's a product that is hard to find on the market, and it's also located within 1.5 miles, a tenth of a mile from the Gallatin Pike bus stop. So all the things that we really talk about all the time for our families, transit accessibility, having those 3 bedrooms, and being in a district where they have had a lot of support from Council Lady Van Reese as well. I'm, of course, happy to answer any questions about the project and representing New Level and then their partner on that project, Brandon Plunkett.
Thank you, Hannah.
Councilmember Hauser, you're recognized.
Thank you. Since I work for New Level CDC, I have to abstain from the vote. Did you hear me?
I heard you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Van Reese.
Yes, since it was mentioned, I wanted to make sure in timing like that the community is well aware of this project and welcomes it with open arms.
See if there's any other. I'm just looking through the list of, see if I see hands. Councilmember Hurd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a question, but just want to make a comment because there for many years, organizations in the North Nashville community have worked very, very hard to have some opportunity to build housing for those constituents in that area, and they've not been able to get their fair share of it. So I'm really pleased to see that the New Level CDC, which has been working in that community for years, to get some funding where they would really truly be able to provide some housing for citizens in that area, affordable housing and workforce housing to help build that community. I'm just really pleased to see that they're utilizing organizations in the community to build housing for the community. And I just wanted to make that acknowledgement. So thank you.
You're welcome, Councilmember Hurd. Councilmember Vercher, is your hand up for this particular item?
It is, Chair.
Okay. You're recognized.
Thank you so much. My question is, can anyone speak to if any of these funds will be used to build any type of halfway housing? And this is why I ask. Sometimes unknowingly, as legislators, we pass legislation that expressly states one intent, but the outcome ends up being something different. And I'm asking because this has happened where bonds fund monies have been used to build halfway houses. So my question for this particular project, will any of these dollars be used to build halfway houses?
No.
For the record, who stated that? State your name for the record.
Davis. So as you mentioned, there are nonprofits that apply to provide housing plus social service support, you know, with a social worker on staff and more wraparound services to support housing stability. New Level focuses on the housing aspect. So they work with the financial education and the home ownership education. And then once the house is transferred, obviously New Level is there as a support system, but there's not a social service wraparound the way that some other nonprofits are focused on.
Okay, but how this resolution reads, and this is a question from Mr. Cooper, in the event we've already authorized this, if New Level wanted to build halfway houses with it, there's nothing that prevents them from doing that. Is it, that's a question, Attorney Cooper.
I am not aware, there's nothing in the zoning code that would prohibit it, and I'm not aware of anything in the contract that would prohibit it.
Yeah, see, I think that's how we stumbled upon the other matter as it related to this. Thank you so much, Attorney Cooper.
Chair James?
Yes.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about where the project is. If everybody can, for a second, so you can hear me.
Well, Councilmember Van Rees, let me get to Councilwoman Suara first, and then I'll come back to you after she gets to ask her question. Councilmember Suara.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I don't have a question. It's a point of order or clarification. I know that Councilmember Hauser said she will be abstaining from the vote, but she's not a member of the committee, and I don't want that to mess up our votes when we count.
Councilmember Van Rees, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. I apologize for getting anxious. I wanted to explain a little bit about where this project is and my overwhelming work that has taken place with the community to create a mixed income community. Directly across the street from this project on Williams is a business that's about to go through a whole new campus kind of revisioning that's going to be very exciting. Right next door to it is the Elks Lodge. Beside it is the Patriot Place, which is been extremely helpful in getting homeless veterans off the street. But across the street from Patriot Place are brand new single family homes at market rate. All of these things are happening at the same time in conjunction with existing single family homes further down the road. This creates the epitome of mixed income community, and I'm real excited about it, as is the rest of, as you can imagine, all those developments everybody knows about. All of these things have come together to be able to offer a townhome that someone can buy and own at the reduced funding, creates home ownership at the appropriate level, and we know that the units will look as good, if not better, than the market rate directly across the street. So great care has been taken to make sure that everyone knows exactly what is going in at this location. And although I understand philosophically in regard to this clarity as to where funds may be used or not used, the reason that we're excited about New Level doing this is for the reason that it will be homes that will be purchased by new neighbors. And so with that, again, happy to answer any questions as it relates to the community and our support for the project.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Bircher, did you have something to add?
Yes, Chair, just thanking Councilwoman Van Rees. I know she works really hard to bring great projects to the area. My question was simply because as a city, we have to acknowledge that all projects are not created in an equitable manner in this city. For some quadrants of the city, the funding for an affordable housing project utilizing the Barnes Fund will simply just be that, as the councilwoman has articulated. It's going to be a great project for the area. And from what she expressed, it sounds like it was a great community collaboration as it relates. But we know some quadrants of the city and some actors will have utilized this opportunity for these particular funds and skew the intent. So you have council members really thinking they're voting for affordable housing and workforce housing, and once the project is erected, it turns out being something else. I'm not stating that this is the case, but as legislators, we need to know that this is occurring and can occur because we don't have any provisions in place to prevent it. And in this climate, if we're going to talk about equity and systemic oppression and concentration of poverty and so forth, we have to be making sure that when we're looking at these pieces of legislation, that we're looking at it from a holistic lens. And that was the only point I was trying to make in my line of questioning, not attacking the project. I believe Councilwoman Van Rees says it's a great project, but we do have to know that we have actors in this city that's taking these dollars and creating more blight in communities. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Bircher. Councilmember Allen, did you have something to add?
Yes. Just I would like to ask for some information. If Hannah in the mayor's office is the keeper of Barnes Fund information, if she could perhaps provide us with a list of the past Barnes Funds properties, and maybe we could be more aware of where that issue has come up. I'm wondering if perhaps that wasn't a low-income housing tax credit project that Councilmember Bircher is remembering. So it would be helpful to me to know if that is an issue.
It is. I'll just send you the resolution offline.
Thank you. If I could ask Councilmember Davis to just provide us with a list of all the past Barnes Fund houses, I would like that, as well as whatever information Councilmember Bircher sends me. Thank you.
All right, so there are no other hands up. We are on resolution 2020-443. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. All right, the committee recommends approval. Resolution 2020-444, Taylor, Mendez, and others approves a grant from the Tennessee Historical Commission to Metro Nashville Historical Commission, from the Tennessee Historical Commission to Metro Nashville Historical Commission to provide a conditions assessment and material analysis of 4 cast concrete structures in Centennial Park. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilman Taylor, are you on the line?
I'm here, thank you. And also I have Mr. Tim Walker from Metro Historic on the line. If we could unmute him, he could give you all a brief explanation of the cast structures that we're discussing.
Is he unmuted? Say his name again. Say his name again. Tim Walker. Mr. Walker.
And his number is 615-862-7970.
Yes, this is Tim. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Councilman. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about this, which is coming from the Tennessee Historical Commission to the Metro Historical Commission. That match is being funded not through our office, but through the Friends Group, the Conservancy. the nonprofit group for Centennial Park. They're covering the $11,600 match. This money, as the council member stated, goes toward assessment and, if there's money left, repair of early concrete structures and the Parthenon. It'll assess it too. Those 4 concrete structures are 2 early concrete bridges and the Shell Spring Monument and the Gunboat Tennessee Monument. Those were monuments that Major E.C. Lewis, an engineer, and he was a prominent civic leader, designed and put in place in Centennial Park. He's responsible for doing many of those monuments in the early 20th century, not only in Centennial Park, but at Shelby Park also. So if you have any other questions, happy to answer them.
Councilmember Vercher, your hand is up. Did you want to speak on this resolution? I'm going to take that as a no. I don't see any other hands. We're on resolution 2020-444, Taylor Mendez and others. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the committee recommends approval. Resolution 2020-445, Mendez and Toombs. I don't know why I have feedback. Anyway, approves a pro bono grant from Two Sigma Investments LP to the Metro Arts Commission to provide data analysis on nonprofit initiatives. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's second. Okay, it has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I don't see any hands. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. All right, committee recommends approval. Resolution 2020-446, Mendez, Toombs, and others, approves an amendment to a grant from the Tennessee Arts Commission to the Metro Arts Commission for funding to nonprofit organizations to nurture artists, arts organizations, and art supporters in Davidson County. Can I get a motion?
So move.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Suara?
Thank you, Chair. It's such a good grant, and the purpose of it is great. But in the analysis, it appears as if this amendment is actually reducing the amount of funding. And so my question is, was it for lack of participation, or is there anyone here that can explain why we are actually reducing the amount of fund available for such a worthy program?
Do we have anyone on the call from the Metro Arts Commission?
Yes, I am here. It's Caroline Vincent. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So this was a grant that we were supposed to receive a little bit more money for this year. It was up to about, I think, $49,000 or so. And that's more than we've received in past years. But due to COVID and some other, revenue issues at the state, they had to reduce the total amount that we'll be getting for these re-grants that will grant back onto the community. So that's unfortunate, but we'll still be able to do the program.
Thank you.
Let me check for other hands. All right, I don't see any other hands on resolution 2020-446. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? No. All right, committee recommends approval. Resolution 2020-447, Mendez and Toombs, authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Lorraine Bottoms against Metro government in the amount of $31,000. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Run through this long list. Okay, I don't see any hands up. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Committee recommends approval. Resolution 2020-448, Mendez, Toombs, and Pulley approves a grant from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to the Office of Emergency Management to provide resources to procure items, training, and/or equipment for hazardous materials preparedness. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Committee recommends approval. Resolution 2020-450, Druffel, Mendez, and others approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Metro Department of Public Works for the reimbursement of railroad crossing safety improvements at Post Road. Can I get a motion? Well, actually, there is a letter from Councilman Druffel to defer for one meeting. Councilman Druffel?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. I'd like to defer this for one meeting. It's a pretty complicated process of what they're showing us around Post Road and the railroad. And I'd like to get a little bit more information from Public Works. So I'd appreciate deferring one meeting. Thanks.
Okay. Director Cooper, do we need to actually do a motion to defer, or is it deferred?
Yes,
for one
ma'am.
meeting? Okay. All right. So can I get a second for Councilmember Druff's motion? It's been properly moved and seconded that we defer for one meeting. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. All right, resolution 2020-450 is deferred for one meeting. Resolution 2020-451, Evans, Hager, and others approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Department of Public Works for the reimbursement of railroad crossing safety improvements at Andrew Jackson Parkway. Can I get a motion?
So moved. So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? No. Committee recommends approval. Resolution 2020-453, SWOPE, request the Metro Finance Department and Office of the Mayor to submit a revised tax levy ordinance for consideration by the Metro Council in August 2020 to account for newly available funds. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Let's see if there's any discussion. Sure there is.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is Councilman Swope.
Oh, Councilmember Swope, you have the floor.
Thank you. All this is simply doing is asking Metro Finance and the Office of the Mayor to submit a revised tax levy, given the fact that we have no idea how much money is coming in to this city from the federal government or the state government or any other grants, nor do we have a direct or a distinct number as to how much we've lost in the last 3 months. And in the interest of time, because I know this meeting is running late anyway, we've already heard from Finance Director Crumbo today, and we've had this discussion earlier on in today's committee meeting, that we've already saved $100 million off the projected losses. So, within the next 2 or 3 weeks to a month tops, we'll have a real good idea whether or not we need to have a 34% tax increase or whether it's more appropriate to drop that to a 24% or a 20% tax increase. All this resolution is simply doing is putting on record from this body that we are asking for a revised tax levy, given the revised numbers that we'll be getting over the next month. And with that, I ask your approval. Hello.
Councilmember Swallow?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The resolution says what we all are saying, and I think it's a good one. My only question, though, is that what is the difference between this resolution and what we passed with the budget ordinance? Because, and I think this was discussed earlier, where we actually asked for numbers by August 15 to be able to do the same thing. So is this a duplication? What, I mean, is there a need for this? Or, I mean, I'm trying to figure out what's the difference between, it has to be done. That's not the issue. But if we already passed that already with the budget ordinance, what does this resolution do differently? If Mr. Dr. Cooper wants to answer that, but I just want to make sure there's a difference or not.
Yes, ma'am. The substitute budget ordinance included language requiring the finance director to provide an updated report by August 15th as to estimated revenues. It did not specifically address another tax levy, though that was obviously the discussion and intent behind the provision was to determine if that could be done. So this resolution just specifically asks for a revised tax levy to be provided.
Thank you.
And Director Cooper, that revised tax levy, it can be initiated by a council member. There's no need to wait on the mayor's
That's
office.
correct.
I'm looking at the hands. Councilmember Allen?
So similar question then. I mean, if we passed the budget ordinance that said that we would get this information and then we would have the option to do that. If we go this route and ask the finance department to do it, then does that obligate us to accept what their calculations are, or does that still leave us the option as the council to come up with their own set of numbers?
So the council does not have the authority to make revenue estimates. By charter, only the finance director can do that. So although the council can initiate another property tax levy, it has to be certified by the director of finance. And so if the director of finance determines that revenue projection is not accurate, then the council couldn't move forward.
So our bill has asked the finance director to give us a revenue projection. And then the assumption was from there we go to a new tax levy. This bill is asking the finance director to also produce the tax levy. In either case, the finance director is going to have to certify whatever is put before him. So is this not necessarily counter to what we were planning to do anyway? That's what I want to make sure I understand.
I would leave that to the sponsor as to the intent, but it does go further than what the language in the budget ordinance provides.
And Madam Chair, if I may.
Sure.
Council Lady Allen, what I've tried to do here in layman's terms is basically instruct the finance director in the office of the mayor to produce something that accounts for any and all funds provided to our government from any COVID-related pandemic source that are not specifically and irrevocably earmarked for any specific cost, task, or effort, and do a dollar-for-dollar reduction in the current tax levy, so that if we have $100 million that we didn't expect to have, I would like to see the tax levy lowered by an anticipated $100 million. Does that make sense?
Councilmember Allen?
Okay, one further question. My understanding is that the COVID money in general has come with the stipulation that it has to be spent by the end of the year, and it has to be spent on things we weren't spending money on anyway. Is there, and I guess this is a Mr. Cooper question, is there anything in the language of this bill that's inconsistent with that instruction on how to spend the carries for the COVID money?
No, ma'am. The resolution refers basically to unencumbered money. So if whatever funds we receive that are in addition to what was budgeted that is not specifically encumbered for a specific task.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Glover?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
First of all, the fact that Councilman Swope is asking for this is a great idea. However, I've been listening, been asking for a little while now, and I have a bill that would be filed. We're trying to finish it up right now that will accomplish this, because unless Director Cooper tells me something different, it will require 3 readings. So we're already on a very tight timeline. I've begun it. The only thing I would add to that is it's my understanding, Director Cooper, that whatever bill I have is amendable all the way up to 3rd reading because it's a tax bill. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so I've begun the process to make sure we are able to get 3 readings in, if that's the will of the council. But we're on a timeline, so I've begun the process. No doubt in my mind, we'll have to do some revisions to it. But actually, I think this is a great idea, and I applaud Councilman Swope for doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bircher.
Thank you so much, Chair. I was trying to pull up the ordinance. Mr. Cooper, does the ordinance, the additional language in the ordinance about revisiting revenues, does it explicitly state anything about unencumbered funds?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And the difference, this resolution does?
Yes, this resolution is focused on the tax levy component. The language in the budget ordinance was just for a revised revenue estimate, if there was a revised estimate, but an update regarding anticipated revenues.
Okay, got you. So for me, I see these as two different requests, akin to one another, so to speak, but really two different requests. Thank you so much for that clarity.
Druffel.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Just one question specifically. It says, and there probably is more detail along the way, it says August 2020 is for the sponsor. Is this designed to go to get this information by August 15th, so we have an opportunity to adjust property taxes?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thanks.
And Mr. Jameson, I see your hand up. Were you wanting to comment on this resolution?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to set some expectations for what a revised tax levy ordinance look like, prepared anytime in the near future. Certainly understand and respect Councilman Swope's sentiments, given what appears to be good news on revenues. The sentence he uttered at the very beginning is what resonated with me. We do indeed have no idea how much state and federal funds we can expect from this point in the future. While it is certainly encouraging that we are $100 million towards the better, that is clearly in the scenario of an enormous amount of federal assistance that is by definition one-time assistance and is likely not to be repeated. So repeating that within a tax levy ordinance would be difficult, and I think the projections would not be something that the council would want to base a tax levy ordinance on in terms of actual adoption. What amounts to set, for example, would be difficult to predict based on the limited data that is available at this point. We hope we can stick with what was originally set forth in the schedule by the council in its second budget substitute, with the initial report on August 15th regarding estimated revenues and the sources thereof, but refrain from making any projections at this point based on, again, limited data. Thank you, Chair.
Checking for any other hands. I don't see any other hands. I will say that the point of putting the language in the substitute budget with that August 15th deadline was to allow the council to get that updated financial information from the finance director and to give the council the opportunity to adjust the tax levy prior to property tax bills going out. So I really see this particular resolution as being redundant. So I'm going to be a no on it. But I did want to reiterate to the committee that we already have this mechanism in place. And then hearing from Councilmember Glover that he has started the process of getting a bill before the council for those 3 readings. So again, this is a redundant resolution. But there are no more hands up, so we're going to take it to a vote. We're on Resolution 2020-453. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. All right, the committee recommends approval. Resolution 2020-455, Syracuse Van Reese and others, request the Director of Public Works of the Department of Law to declare Red River Service Corporation and Red River Waste Solutions LP to be in breach of contract, to rebid Red River's contracts for waste collection, and to include stronger enforcement and penalty provisions as part of the request for proposals and resulting contracts. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Yes, second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I don't see any hands. Oh, wait a minute. Councilman Glover? Did you have comments on this resolution?
Actually, more of a question.
Okay.
And I don't know exactly the answer. Can somebody tell? I was really trying to figure out exactly what this accomplishes because I'm not following it completely. So if somebody could help me connect the dots here, that'd be appreciated.
Councilmember Syracuse, did you want to speak on your resolution?
It's important to unmute. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. It is an issue that has gone on now about 3.5 to 4 years. You'll note that I have 8 co-sponsors that I'm thankful for. This issue has impacted multiple council districts. I unfortunately have the designation of being the district that has been most negatively impacted over the past 3.5, 4 years. We can get into all the nitty-gritty of the operational issues as to what has caused thousands of our neighbors across the urban services district to receive poor service from Red River over the past 3.5, 4 years. We can get into all of that, but I have filed this resolution supporting Public Works and Metro Legal, who have really, in my opinion, have gone above and beyond to try to work with Red River in overcoming their issues or whatnot. And this resolution has been filed in support of their efforts. That this has gotten to a point where our neighbors and constituents, especially here, have been demanding that council do something. So I have filed this resolution supporting Public Works and Legal to take whatever means necessary at this point to resolve this. Now, this is a resolution. I didn't file an ordinance. It's not my expectation, nor my ask that once we hopefully pass this, that Public Works and Legal immediately move to cancel the contract. I don't necessarily want that to happen. I want this resolved. But after about 3.5, 4 years, as you can read in the resolution, it shows the chronology, the times that Red River has been found in default of contract. And so there are some challenges. I'm empathetic with some of the challenges that Red River has recently experienced with coronavirus and everybody at home and the additional tonnage of picking up trash or whatnot. But these issues are more systemic to Red River and not just because of the coronavirus. So at this point, this body needs to add our voice to everything that Public Works and Legal has been doing over the past 3.5 to 4 years to say, please pick up our darn trash. And if you can't do it, then we need to go out and find somebody who's going to live up to a contract and do so. Thank you.
Councilmember.
So Madam Chair, if you'll give me just a little leeway, I would like to ask Councilman Syracuse just one very simple question. I think I know the answer. This comes back to some of the recent activities from some of your constituents in your particular district with this, that some of them reached out to me as well. Is that correct, Councilman?
This is exactly related to that issue, and I've been hearing from these constituents for 3.5 to 4 years.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just want to make sure. All right, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilwoman Van Rees.
Yes, first of all, thank you, Mr. Syracuse, for putting pen to paper on this. Your district is not the only one that's seeing systemic issues. I forwarded to the council as a founding member of the Hub Committee a detailed report in regard to complaints regarding trash pickup, missed pickup. You can all see exactly what's happening in your district so you can see the systemic problem. I also wanted to reach out and make clear that the Public Works Department is being very creative in trying to find solutions. I'm looking forward to hearing from that. Half of District 8 was recently annexed in 2017, and those folks trusted me when I told them that their trash was going to get picked up. And it's embarrassing. It's frustrating. They can see the 971 streetlights. They can see their recycle bin filled up. But whenever the recycling's picked up, but their trash is not, that's inexcusable. And I think that there is an opportunity to find solutions. And I support Public Works, and this resolution speaks to that confidence that we can find a better way and get this done. So thank you, Mr. Syracuse, for writing it down. Thank you.
Councilmember Porterfield.
Thank you so very much, Chair. I would like to just piggyback off of what our colleagues have already said. This has been a huge problem. In District 29, it has been a very big problem since I've been elected for the last year and a few months. This is something I've been trying to work with Public Works on to get this addressed. We're seeing it has been exacerbated due to the coronavirus, so we have seen a decline in service due to the coronavirus. However, prior to the coronavirus, we were still seeing consistently late service. Our pickup day out here is on Friday. It is so consistent that trash is being picked up on Saturday that I get asked each week, has our day been moved from Friday until Saturday? Since the 4th of July, we have been getting picked up on Mondays, but from the previous Friday, we had people that were picked up on Tuesday after the 4th of July. Today, I was still receiving messages that numerous homes had not been picked up yet. We're seeing constituents say that one half of the street is picked up, the other half of the street is not picked up. We're seeing constituents say that their trash is out and the company goes past their home and picks up the rest of the street. So it's numerous issues that are happening. It's unacceptable. People want quality service, and in the heat of July, there's no reason that trash needs to be sitting out from Thursday night until Monday or Tuesday. It's absolutely unacceptable. So thank you, Councilman Syracuse, for bringing this resolution forward. I signed on to it gladly, and I support whatever Public Works and Metro Legal needs to do in order to get this resolved.
Councilmember Benedict.
Thank you, Chair. Most of what I wanted to say has been said, so I'm going to move on. But I absolutely want to make sure that Metro Legal knows that what is happening elsewhere in the city is happening everywhere in the city. An area that's been a part of the USD for as long back as I can remember, and they have similar issues. So we just can't allow ourselves to work with somebody who is has a track record of ill performance or non-performance. So I support this resolution. I appreciate the sponsor bringing it forward. Thank you.
Councilwoman Bircher.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for bringing forward this this resolution. This has been problematic for me since I've been on council, which is 5 years. I have the esteemed pleasure of representing one of the fastest improving districts in the city, also part of one of the fastest growing quadrants in the city. I say all that to say I have absolutely no confidence in Red River's ability to provide a high level of service to our constituents. I would like to think I'm one of the most patient council members on council, one of the most reasonable council members on council. And we've gone through various iterations of excuses for the lack of service for this particular company. At one point, it was the logistics of the routes. Another point, it was insufficient personnel. And another point, it was issues with management. So all of this predates COVID. COVID may have exacerbated an issue that the company already had. And I'm not on the Public Works Committee, but I want to make my statement today that what I want is for the Director of Public Works to find a better solution, not with Red River, because they don't have the capacity to reform themselves. Regardless of what we may come up with in a contract, there's already language in the contract as it relates to them not meeting their service level agreements. And here we are. I have neighborhoods that's trashed because neighbors don't know what to do. We have kids out of school, and what do kids do? Kids are kids. They run through the neighborhood and knock the trash bins over. This is a bad marriage. We need to recognize that. And we need to cut our losses. And we can't forget, we are a body that just approved a 34% tax increase on our constituents. And many of us stated and justified part of that increase was the continuation of services, that we didn't have to cut any services, that we didn't have to cut any Metro employees. It's incumbent upon us to make sure what our constituents are paying for, that they actually receive. And for us to go days, in my district, they've skipped weeks without picking up. It's unacceptable. And for us as a city to say, well, considering the volume, the tonnage that we collect, a few misses here and there, that's not so bad. That's totally unacceptable. And I know there's been some changes as it relates to the Director of Public Works. Thanks to the administration for informing us of that. I had to read that out on Twitter. Wasn't even aware. But nevertheless, we need to end this bad marriage. And thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bircher. I do not see any other council members' hands up. There is a representative from Red River on the call. Okay. Do any council members have questions of that representative? If not, we'll go to the vote.
Well, Chair,
that was out of order. We need to take the vote.
Say that again.
That would be out of order. We need to take the vote. This is a resolution reaching contract. Legality-wise, Chair, that would be out of order.
Director Cooper, is that correct? If a council member on the committee had a question?
If a council member on the committee has a question for anyone that's on the line, then that's fine.
And that was my question. If a council member had a question of someone from Red River, there was someone available. But if not, then we would.
Chair.
Oh, Councilmember Glover.
I just re-raised my hand, and so I'm going to ask for a little indulgence because the years I spent as a district council member was in the GSD. So I unfortunately have learned a lot about this now that I'm at large, and I certainly am supportive, but I was wondering if there was somebody from Red River, just to where, because I haven't spoken to them, I just would like to hear. I'm going to be supportive of district council members, but this is new for me as far as hearing all of these problems. So if you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
So Councilmember Glover, did you have a specific question for Red River, or you just want to give them the opportunity?
I would like to hear what their answer is to what's been said tonight. And if that's not appropriate, I'm okay with that. I'm just trying to understand it because, again, not going to apologize. It's just, this is new for me as far as the USD portion of the garbage removal.
Well, I'm going to go to other council members who have their hands up because I don't want to give the opportunity to just give a soliloquy. If there are specific questions, I did want to let council members know that they were available. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I understand that for whatever reason, garbage is only picked up 4 days a week, and it seems like that would be an easy solution. Can someone either from Public Works or from Red River explain why we haven't gone to that simple solution?
I know Mr. Hall is on from Red River. Mr. Hall.
Someone on Public Works on the line?
Public Works as well. Who's on from Public Works?
I think I saw Sharon Wallstrom.
This is Sharon Wallstrom.
What are you talking about? Because they don't pick up on Friday, they pick it up on Saturday. No.
Councilwoman Burton, you're not muted.
Sorry. Ms. Wallstrom, do you want to respond to Councilmember Allen?
Yes, ma'am. We have always in the past routinely had a 4-day pickup where we work 10-hour days, 4 days a week, and that is the original contract that we signed with Red River several years, 16 years ago. That was the agreement. The routes were approved at that point, and that has been working for years and years up to this point. We have our recycling routes that operate on the same days as the trash routes for everyone once a month, so that is with ease to remember items. But that is why we have always had the 4-day. It allows our personnel to have a 3-day weekend. If these drivers need to get a second job, they have the ability to do that on the weekends. It also leaves them time with their families. So that's been our policy in the past.
Councilmember Allen, does that answer your question, or you want to hear from Mr. Hall?
That does answer my question. I guess I would just ask if we're looking for solutions, that might be a topic of discussion.
Okay. That has been a topic of discussion, but nothing has been determined or concluded at this point.
Councilmember Porterfield, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Chair. I do have a question to Red River, and it's a very simple question. Can you please tell us why our trash is not picked up on time? Thank you.
Council Member Porterfield, this is Joe Hall. I represent Red River Waste Solutions. Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have Steve Smith with Red River on the line here as well. He's a VP in the company, has been very involved in the conversations with Metro Public Works about the priority of rerouting or modernizing the routing for the community. I think all of us are, and certainly please know that we hear the frustration and share some of it with you. I think we're all very aware that the city's exponential growth, the very transformative growth, population and residential development density has been enormous and very impactful and stressful on much of the infrastructure of our community. It has been Red River's observation and its recommendation to Public Works to transition from a 4 to 5 day a week collection schedule, and one that would also be updated from to reflect that very dramatic physical change to the community and the population growth out all corridors across the collection area. We've seen so much just in terms of the increase in population, particularly the routes toward the end of the week, Thursday and Friday are full. They don't leave much room for any kind of error or event. And they should be modernized to reflect that the city that we've become and where we're going, and look a whole lot less 2004 and 2005. And that's been a conversation between Red River and Public Works. A rerouting model has been created and presented that the company believes will demonstrate very much improved efficiency. And build in some breathing room. Just think about traffic congestion, for example, and what a powerful impact that's had on our community. Well, that affects waste collection profoundly. Let me fast forward to coronavirus, which you should have a memo in there and some elaboration on the impact of coronavirus. It is transformational and disruptive to global waste systems, and especially we're feeling it here and throughout North America through safer at home orders. Everyone went home. They didn't produce any more waste at commercial locations. They began to produce it at home. You should have an item there that shows you how much that volume has increased. And again, I think Steve Smith, this is his business. He can describe for you how disruptive that is in terms of any scheduled day. Steve, you want to talk about how that affects it, and particularly how it affects the end of a day and the transfer station and getting back on routes?
Sure, and I think it's important to note, I think, and thank you, Chairwoman Toombs and others involved. I think it's important to note that we set the stage, as some others had said. There were some issues and concerns that we had pre-COVID, right? So to set the stage, and kind of what Joe was talking about, if we're running on a Friday that has 31,000 bins that we have to collect, and that's at 27,000 plus locations, there's very little room for error. If we're coming up on traffic, we've talked about how our communities have changed over the last 14 years. We're going on these disjointed routes that are not contiguous. There's other concerns that we have. So I'm just trying to set the stage of, okay, there's where we're at. Now, anything that pushes us back, when we're talking about what, in terms of garbage collection, is pretty simple, right? You've got your weight per stop, your time per stop, your stops per day, and then your number of trucks, per route. So all those things jammed together. And how much time does it take to you to get to the transfer station? How much time does it take to tip each can? So in terms of all those things, we talk about, well, I'm at home, and what's the difference of an extra 36 tons, say, in April, after we got the stay-at-home order at the end of March into 23rd. We saw an average of 36 tons a day heavier per day. So when you talk about in terms of a truck that's, in between 10 and 12 tons, depending on, the type of waste it's got on it, and what that impact has on that driver's day, right? So now he's talking about an extra trip to the landfill, basically, and that just adds another half route to his day. So another 4 people, if you will, for that day. Now, just spread that over 4 more days, and then you can see how that really impacts your ability to recover from any kind of disruption, whether it's more tons per day because of Corona, whether it's any weather events or just traffic in general. So I think that's the real crux of not just COVID, but in general terms, what a 5-day route system does for us in terms of recoverability.
Thank you so much for sharing that information. Just one more question, if I may. Can you explain why half of a street will get picked up and the other half of the street does not get picked up? Also, why are homes on the route skipped when constituents call me and say that their house was skipped, but all of their neighbors, they actually see the truck pass their home and go to their neighbor's home? Why does that happen? Why do they pick up one side of the street, leave, and don't come back to pick up the other side of the street? That's consistently happened. And then 3, why we have whole neighborhoods that are being skipped that are supposed to be picked up on Friday, which I understand that you guys are running behind schedule, but when we get to Monday and people still haven't been picked up, can you speak to that, please?
I can, in back to what we were talking about too, in these routes and these days that are kind of disjointed. They're kind of all over the city. You may have a person running way up north on a Friday and then down south. So on a new 5-day system, they would run around like a clock. So you'd see, so your days are next to each other. So that helps in terms of quality assurance and quality control. So all of your supervisors and your backup drivers are in the same area on the same day. So you have tighter control of that. So when a driver leaves a route, has to go to the transfer station, and gets back to a route, he may encounter traffic, he may encounter other things. That impacts quality, right? I mean, we're humans, and these guys and ladies have been out here, and working their tails off to try to get the stuff up. And so there can be mistakes made because they're under that much pressure and strain. You take the Friday scenario in particular, and Mr. Syracuse, you were right. You said that you had the distinct pleasure of having the most impacted area. I think we've seen that particularly with that 31,000 count on Friday on a 5-day. On a 4-day, excuse me. You go to a 22,000 count, 21,800 on a Friday on a 5-day route. So let's say you do run late on Friday for whatever reason. You only have until noon that next day to catch up because the transfer station closed. And then you can't empty your truck until Monday morning. So now you have a full truck that you've recovered a route from that you can't empty until Monday morning. So you do that Monday morning, and now you're behind again because you waited to dump your truck on Monday morning. So that's a compounding thing. It's not an excuse. That's just a fact of when you back yourself up against a wall on that Friday with no breathing room, that your recoverability is very hard. So that's what we're trying to do, is spread that out and give that room in between there.
I will note that for Red River, the transfer station, which is operated by a private entity, closes at 5 o'clock weekdays and has only been open until 10 a.m. on Saturdays, up until this past Saturday when the 10 a.m. transfer station schedule moved to noon. That's very hard on a truck out on route because if he's full at 4:45, he's still got more daylight, but he can't get rid of the load. He can't go deposit it and get back on the route. So his day is effectively over. And when you're adding, over the last 2 weeks, Red River's collections within Metro are up more than 40 tons a day. That's very disruptive to your volume, your time on route, and your travel time to the transfer station.
Thank you for that clarification. I'm not sure where they're dumping it then because out here they're running well past 7 p.m. I think on Public Works webpage it says that they run from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We see routes sometimes running at 8:30, 9 p.m. at night. So I'm not really sure where they're going if the transfer station closes at 4:30. But thank you so much, Chair, for allowing me those opportunities to ask those questions.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Syracuse.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I'll just close with this, that over the past 3.5, 4 years, I've had this opportunity to get to know the folks from the CEO down of Red River. They're good people. This is not anything personally against any of them. I do believe they want to do the right thing. I do believe they've made some mistakes in operational and management decisions. And we've come to this point now after 3.5, 4 years. So I support Public Works and legal finding both short-term logistical, operational, and contractual changes that could get us back there. But the bottom line is, at this point, it is time that we elevate this conversation and this body make this statement that this needs to be resolved now. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And committee members, this resolution is also on the Public Works agenda, and they can get into all the technical stuff about the routes and things like that. Are there any questions regarding the financial aspect of this resolution? Seeing none, we are on resolution 2020-455. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Committee recommends approval. We have a late resolution that is sponsored by myself. Approves an amendment to a grant from the Tennessee Administrative Office of the Courts to the Davidson County General Sessions Music City Community Court Division 7 to implement a community court to combine the power of the community and the justice system to address local public safety concerns.
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, it has been properly moved and seconded. I do have Judge Rachel Bell on the line who can give a brief description of what the Music City Community Court does and what this grant is for. And it is time sensitive. That's why it's late filed.
And thank you for this opportunity this evening. Thank you for passing our request for the resolution as well. As many of you know that have supported the Music City Community Court over the years, and we really, really do appreciate your support. We are finishing up the grant with the Tennessee Department of Justice, and because of the tornado and because of COVID-19, they did extend the 5 courts across the country that are working with the United States Department of Justice in our grant period from July 30th to August 31st. And with that, the Tennessee Supreme Court and our Music Community Court, which is Division 8, realized that there was some funding that we still needed to finish up the resources for the CARE Diversionary Court, which is for ages 18 to 30 here in Nashville, Tennessee, for all of Davidson County. But we finally were able to find a designated space. And with that designated space, the funds that the Tennessee Supreme Court thought they were going to use and we thought we would use are now going to be turned over to General Services to finish building out that designated space over at the Magruder Center. And so that amount of money was $17,503.37. So I thank you for approving that. We've got to get the money in. It's a reimbursement, so the city gets it back. So it's not anything that y'all will have to actually pay for, except for just giving us the funds in the beginning, let us spend it, and the Department of Justice will pay the city back. But so far, we've done a good job. The grant was for $200,000. We spent only $163,000 of it. So far, and so we're on the last spend down of it, and so we're needing to spend that money pretty quickly with General Services because that's a metro organization or department that we're needing that funds for. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. But we're trying to get everything ready, so as soon as COVID-19 is over, we can get back to regular services. But right now, we've been doing everything virtually. So we hosted the first virtual expungement clinic a few weeks back with attorneys from across the state of Tennessee. We're still having court virtually with our participants. And so we're still trying to do what we can to get this new court off the ground. Again, with 1 of 3 in the nation for a court for ages 18 to 30, looking at ways for alternatives of incarceration for those individuals that are not violent offenders for Davidson County. So thank you for your time today, and thank you for approving our resolution. And thank you for sponsoring it, Councilmember Toombs.
And I do not see any hands up from committee members, so we are on the late resolution. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. The committee recommends approval. So we are now on bills on second reading. We are almost done. Substitute Bill 2020-147 by Murphy amends the Metro Code regarding lobbyist registration and disclosure. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it has been properly moved and seconded. Councilmember Murphy, are you on the call?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
All right, you also have a second substitute.
Yes, ma'am. I would appreciate someone moving the second substitute.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, you want to tell us what your substitute does, Councilmember Murphy?
Sure. As I've discussed in Rules Committee and briefly on the floor before, this is legislation that I kind of started during my first term, picked up and put down several times, and I have kind of run it through the ringer several times. The reason I filed this in January and deferred it to May was to get more feedback. And as we all know, that sometimes feedback does not come in until the last minute. And so I was willing to defer it until now. And so ultimately what this legislation does is it takes the lobbyist code that was originally created in 91 and has not been significantly updated since then. And it tweaks and updates parts of it, but adds significant things such as there is no way to file a complaint or adjudicate a complaint. So right now, our clerk could decide, I'm sure she wouldn't do this, but she could just decide off the cuff to suspend a lobbyist's ability to register as a lobbyist with no way for recourse for that lobbyist or that organization that they are representing. And so it tweaks things like that, updates things like that. I hope that all of you were able to, I know it's a long bill and a long document, but I sent you all this morning kind of a spreadsheet of the changes and major changes to it, including some new definitions, taking some of the responsibilities from the clerk and putting it on the Board of Ethical Conduct. If you're not familiar with the Board of Ethical Conduct, it is, I believe, 5 attorneys appointed by various organizations and legal organizations here in the county, and they already deal with ethical complaints like on elected officials or board and commission members. So it seemed like a very logical place to continue this. So basically, I have researched. I have a whole file box. If anybody wants to fact check me, I'm happy to bring that in or show it on video tomorrow night. But so I've researched other cities, other counties, other states, how they regulate the interactions with lobbyists. And ultimately, I found the best way to update our lobbyist code was to stay as close to the current code as possible while adding sections from our state code. That way they fit Nashville, they fit Tennessee, and we also have other advisory positions and instructions already out there. Anything that was, there's some language that's taken from and tweaked from other places, but again, I wanted to make sure that it was well-versed and well sought out. So while this has kind of been put all together and reorganized, I've also incorporated the suggestions of the Metro clerk when I first met with her when she first was hired during our first term. I've included parts from the suggestions from the audit, the Metro auditor that audited the clerk's process. Metro Legal has had input on this. The Board of Ethical Conduct has, the lobbyist community, the Chamber of Commerce, and the design professional communities, and many others have given me a lot of good feedback and kind of questions to think through. And being a lobbyist myself at the state level, having grown up around lobbyists, my father has been a lobbyist since I was 2 years old, and then my mother joined him. I'm very familiar with the state code and the Metro code. And so when I was elected in 2015 and people were coming to me asking me for zone changes or to support policy changes, and I was realizing that they were not registering as lobbyists, it really kind of shocked me that we did not have that type of transparency in our Metro code, or that it wasn't being enforced. And so some of that is on us as Metro Council members, and some of that is on the broader community. And so that's why I've really begged for and embraced and asked for the input. And I am willing and ready to answer any questions y'all have. And I know Hannah Zeitlin has just been phenomenal in helping me write this, sort through it, talk through it, and play out different scenarios. So I hate to say it, she might know it better than I do, but happy to answer any questions from there.
Councilmember Van Rees.
I just wanted to remind you I have two amendments to this.
And Director Cooper, how do we proceed since there are two substitutes and a proposed amendment?
The best would be to take a vote on the second substitute and then consider the amendment after that.
Okay, so
I'm happy to wait. Thank you.
So do we have, because so Councilmember Van Rees, you have a proposed amendment and a second substitute?
No, ma'am, I have two separate amendments.
Two separate amendments, okay.
I'm happy to wait until discussion as it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Committee members, just reminding you as we are discussing this bill that we're looking at it from a budget and finance perspective. So if you can keep your questions in line with that. And I am looking for hands. Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you so much. If the speaker can, so this creates a huge regulatory scheme. And I just want to make sure that I'm understanding it, that lawyers are even covered in this also. They are not able to contribute to local candidates. I guess fundamentally, like who would be enforcing this, and also if the sponsor can speak to what it is that we are actually trying to accomplish here. One of my concerns, Chair, is that, and you know this, it's oftentimes really challenging for minority candidates to fundraise. So I want to make sure that we're looking at this with that lens. Also, that we're not creating additional burdens for future minority candidates. I see it as a huge regulatory scheme. I want to know who would be enforcing it. If the clerk's office, well, they need additional funding, staff, and so forth. Also, if there's been any issues that may have prompted, I'm speaking locally, not concerned with the state, with the Metro Council, that may have been part of the reason why the sponsor took on this endeavor.
Councilmember Murphy.
Thank you. So the Metro Legal informed us that because the state law does not prohibit local elected officials from taking campaign contributions from lobbyists, that we could not do that. So that's already been struck from this legislation. And then, so what is prompting this? Going back to kind of the example that I gave is how many times we hear, I'm sure y'all have had similar situations that I have, is that I'm approached about a zone change or a development in my district, an SP, or about, even things such as policies and resolutions dealing with things that are countywide, such as contracts, ECD deals, and the such. And if you look at the lobbyist list, while I think lobbyists have gotten better at registering, oftentimes those lobbyists or people who are coming to us that are not that are asking us to vote on something or vote one way or another, they are not registering. And so what this is a way to kind of update and also draw attention to that, but then it also provides for some more of reporting. Basically the reporting mechanisms that are in here is just expanding the reporting that's already done to the clerk. And so that's, I guess, kind of IT infrastructure that already exists. The clerk is not charged with enforcing this. The enforcement factor is if someone were to file a complaint. And that's what doesn't exist now, is there's not a way for someone to specifically file a complaint in Metro. What is also missing currently is a way to adjudicate if there was a complaint. And so that's what sets up the Board of Ethical Conduct, where they already deal with, ethical complaints, like when there was the complaint about Mayor Megan Barry, there was a COB complaint last fall. Those already go to the Board of Ethical Conduct, and so that's why it makes sense that that's the home of it. So as to the fiscal note, I know that that the clerk, Metro Finance, and then our finance and John Cooper and staff all met last week, I believe, and that's somewhat reflected in the new fiscal note that talks about if there is a big influx of new complaints that requires more staff time from the Metro clerk, that it would be appropriated to them. This, at the clerk's suggestion, the fee is being raised from $50 to $100 to register. So that already is going to cover any additional costs from complaints or staff time. And then through my own calculations from the clerk's data, and again, my math is not always the best, but according to the clerk's data, on average, we would expect 60 of the lobbying reports to be filed late. And at the suggestion of the Metro audit, there would be a late filing fee of $50. So that would generate another $3,000. So right now, where the lobbyist registration program brings in about $12,000 to $13,000 a year, it would now be bringing in, on average, $26,000 to $29,000 a year. And that, if needed, could pay for another part-time employee in the clerk's office as necessary. It's not dedicated to that, but finance has said that those fees could go to the clerk's overtime and additional staff needs. I think, Council Lady Virtue, there may have been another question in there that I missed.
So how many complaints have we had?
Since there currently is not a way to file a complaint, there have been no complaints.
Councilmember Virtue, do you have anything else?
No, that's it, Chair.
Councilmember Roten?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think my question was answered. I was just going to ask about the financial impact of this bill, and I think she covered that. So I think I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And if there are any other hands, I do not see any other hands. We are on the second substitute. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say no. So committee recommends approval of the substitute. So we are back on the bill as substituted. And Councilmember Van Rees has 2 amendments. Councilmember Van Rees?
Councilmember, I'd like to speak on the bill as substituted before we get the amendments. Would that be possible?
Director Cooper, can we do general discussion first before we get to amendments?
You can. I mean, the amendments come up during discussion, so that's what's open now.
Okay. Councilmember Allen, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question in general. I appreciate fully all the work that Councilmember Murphy has put into this. I know she has logged hours and that she has listened to an awful lot of input, which I am really impressed with. I've gotten a few phone calls as an engineer. I have heard from some folks in my profession that just want to be absolutely sure that they understand what's required. And I guess this relates to fiscal note of whether they would be required to register themselves as lobbyists if they're just doing what they consider the everyday ministerial work of design professionals. And I'm just wondering if there's a way to get clarification on, for example, if someone goes down to the planning department to ask a question about something, that's not totally straightforward and they need an interpretation, does that become lobbying? Does that require then that they register as a lobbyist? And one of the legal folks in the room answer that question.
Councilmember, this is John Cooper. The second substitute includes language to make it specifically clear that if they are just performing a ministerial action, then they are not considered lobbying and would not have to file as a lobbyist. It's only if they are paid to influence action from a public official that they would be required to register.
Would that be from a single public official? Or, I mean, for example, if someone needs a zoning change and so they meet with the council member for their district, which is, fairly typical, but they're not going to meet with all 40, or they're not going to call all 40 and lobby for votes. Where does that fit under the definition of ministerial?
If they're meeting individually with council members,
the council member.
With any council member. If they are answering technical questions about the project, I would think that would not be lobbying. But if they are talking about how great the project is and how the council member needs to support it, then that would be lobbying, in my opinion.
And so so if they are going to a meeting to talk about technical things, but someone says, do you think this is a great project or not? And they say yes, then did they suddenly become a lobbyist and now they've broken the rule, or they have to run register? How do you cross that?
The definition of lobbying is really not changing significantly. I mean, arguably people who are doing that now should be registered as lobbyists under the code as it is now. There has not been any, I don't know what the word is, but that awareness of that, I'll say. But as far as the actual definition of lobbying, it is not changing significantly.
From what has been in our code or?
Yes, ma'am. What's been in our code.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you for that sort of clarification.
Okay, I don't see any other hands.
If I may add one quick comment, I think Council Lady Allen's question kind of pivoted there. Ministerial, if you're someone who's just calling and talking to codes to find out where your permit is or if all the documents are in, that's not lobbying. If you are, and then you kind of change that over to the council member. And typically a council member is not doing the ordinary routine permitting and licensing. So I wanted to kind of make sure that your question was answered, because I felt like that may have gotten mixed up, and I wanted to make sure you had clarity on that.
Yeah, I'm not totally clear, but I'm trying to think of who through. I mean, just that there are oftentimes issues that are not straightforward. And that's what an architect or an engineer may do, is to try to get an interpretation from codes or planning. Can I put a water station in instead of a water fountain? Does that then put it in the area of lobbying if it's not simply, I can read this in the code and yes or no?
No, I believe what you just described is kind of a ministerial action, finding out as defined in the second substitute. The language we added specifically for that concern is ministerial action includes ordinary and routine permitting, licensing, or compliance decisions by an official of the executive branch. So calling and asking the planning department or a planning staffer or a stormwater staffer or code staffer a question about compliance with the policy of you can tell how like non-stormwater I am.
Right.
Is this a permeable paver, or is this the permeable paver that you mean? That would be considered ministerial rather than lobbying.
Okay. And then if they get into the issue of, well, here's something you've never used before, but we think you should consider it permeable, then are they lobbying? That may be a Mr. Cooper question.
I would say no, but Mr. Cooper, you are our attorney.
I'm sorry, the last part of the question cut off on my end. What was that again?
I understand what Councilmember Murphy is saying about ministerial being if they call to say, is what I'm doing in compliance? And the letter of the law spells it out and they meet the letter of the law. But it seems like in many cases, our codes and our standards are often open to interpretation. Does this material that you've never seen before meet the criteria for what I'm required to do? And I have to tell you, about it specifically or show you where it's used in other cities. I mean, at some point, frequently something that started as a technical question ends up as I don't know if you consider it influencing, but just a lot of education. Are we clear on where that line is, or is everyone who's in doubt going to need to register as a lobbyist?
I think it's kind of a case by case situation. I mean, if you are trying to influence or get a codes official to agree with your point that may be a strained interpretation or something, then right. That would be lobbying. If that you're just asking, can I do this under the existing regulations? Here's why I think I can. That's right. Probably not. I think it's just if you're trying to influence the action of the official.
Okay. From conversations I've had, I think there are a number of design professionals either who should have been lobbyists all along, or who are concerned that needs more discussion. So I'm at this point, I'm going to end with that point and perhaps bring it up in another committee, because I'm not sure if it's truly a budget issue, but I just need to make that statement.
Thank you, Councilmember Allen. Councilmember Van Rees.
Yes. Before I move the amendment, I have a question on the committee, but if I can pose it now while it's in context, I would like to do that. Okay, Chair?
Is it budget and finance related?
Yeah. Just coming off that other discussion, it seems as like in the Planning Commission meeting, when a representative of the property owner, the applicant, talks in front of the Planning Commission, based on what I've just heard, they would be lobbying, and therefore, with a council member on the Planning Commission, they would have to recuse themselves from even participating on the Planning Commission because they're being lobbied. And I just, in my head, it was a budget question, but maybe it wasn't. So I'm sorry about that. But if I can get some clarity on that, then I'm sure that you've thought that through, Councilmember Murphy. Do you have an idea on that one?
Yes, ma'am. So if you look at the definition of influencing, and I'm reading the words but skipping a few. Influencing does not include ... or the giving of testimony by an individual testifying at an official hearing conducted by officials of the legislative or executive branch. So somebody testifying at the Planning Commission or at our public hearing would not be, so like the example you gave, that would not be lobbying. That's covered under the definition of influencing. I understand you've got what can sometimes be typically in ordinances, we have our definitions and they don't, they're not always used as puzzle pieces, they kind of sometimes are standalone. In this legislation, they are puzzle pieces. The definitions do really work together to get to things. And so if you look at a definition in a vacuum, that's what can be hard. And so that's why it is important to point out, and that was a great question, that exactly that part is the giving of testimony is not influencing. And so if it's not influencing, then it's not lobbying. This would have been a great thing for my logic professor in college. I would love this.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move my amendments. They are not numbered, but I believe the first one in the packet would be the first one that I would move, which applies to section 2.196.100.
I need someone on the committee to move the amendment.
Would somebody on the committee please move the amendment on my behalf?
I move the amendment for Chair.
Second.
Properly moved and amended. Councilwoman Van Rees.
Okay. Thank you very much. This particular amendment removes information regarding lobbyist compensation. This, quite frankly, was more of a philosophy in regard to the appropriate use of Metro Council in the determination of how an industry earns its money. This may or may not be a way that people earn their money. Evidently, it's in here. But I wouldn't want to have the Metro Council decide, for example, that all real estate agents cannot earn more than 3% of whatever. I mean, that's not our position to show how somebody earns their money. And for that reason, I'm requesting the removal in regard to that. I'm available for any questions in regard to the reasoning.
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry. I don't see any committee members' hands up, but I did want to give the sponsors the opportunity to respond to the amendment.
Thank you, Council Lady Toombs. So contingency fees are banned at the state when it comes to lobbying. They're banned in the majority of states and local municipality county ordinances that I found when I was researching. In fact, in our Metro Procurement Code, there's Chapter 4.48, Ethics and Contracting. In that section, 0.080, there's a prohibition against contingency fees. It states that it shall be a breach of ethical conduct for a person to be retained or to retain a person to solicit or secure Metro government contracts based on an agreement or understanding for contingency commission, so on and so forth. Also, I'd like to quote that according to the Cornell Journal of Law and Public Policy, the concern is that a lobbyist whose fee is contingent on success has a greater incentive to win at all costs. In contrast to lobbyists who are paid an hourly fee, a lump sum, or monthly retainer. As a result, contingency fee arrangements may promote the use of improper means, such as distorting relative facts or to ensure success. Contingency fee lobbying is more likely to promote the interests of big business for business-related lobbying where there is the most money to be made. There is little reason to think that a contingency fee lobbying would benefit the poor or reduce the disparities between the haves and the have-nots. Therefore, numerous court decisions have condemned lobbyist contingency fees. So that was a quote from the Cornell Journal of Law and Public Policy. Again, it's banned at the state. It has been since the Tennessee Waltz. It's banned in our procurement code already. And I think that it is good policy to prohibit it here where things are, we are making judgments on how public money is spent. And the potential, one example I would give is a lobbyist who's going to get a fee if they get a bigger ECB deal or bigger taxpayer payment in lieu of or deferred tax payment deal for their client. I think that we would, if a lobbyist is getting a percentage of that reward or benefit or bonus, I think that's a prime example of why when it comes to lobbying us, we should follow the lead of the state here and several other municipalities and follow the guidance of public policy that it is not good. And we already have it banned in the procurement code.
Chair, if I can I have a follow-up?
You can go ahead, Councilmember. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Hi.
Okay. You have the floor.
Thank you. You know what? Davidson County is not always following the state lead, and I don't think that there's a reason to do that now. We haven't seen a misappropriation. Tennessee Waltz had nothing to do with Davidson County. For me, this is the principle of the thing. Telling an industry how it pays itself is not something for the Metro Council to take up. And I hope for your approval.
Councilmember Vercher. Councilmember Vercher.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I want to speak to the amendment. I just want to be clear that Councilwoman Van Rees is removing that language out for all contingencies, or is it just for that particular sector? I don't have it readily available to read it.
Councilmember Van Rees.
It is the two places in the bill where it is mentioned that regards to clients may not compete or incur an obligation to compensate a lobbyist for compensation contingent in whole or in part upon the occurrence or non-occurrence or amendment of any administrative legislative action. And then B, the lobbyist may not engage in or agree to engage in lobbying for compensation contingent in whole or in part upon the occurrence or non-occurrence or amendment of any administrative or legislative action. Those
actually, that's the language. That's not the language in the second substitute. Do you want me to read that?
Yeah, if in the second substitute, if Hannah wants to adjust the amendment, I'd be happy to hear from legal in regard to how the amendment should be changed.
Director Cooper or Hannah?
The amendment was prepared before the second substitute was finalized, and so for tomorrow, we'll have the language to coincide.
Is there any substantive difference in the two?
Hannah, can you answer that one?
Yeah, the section number changed for one, and then also the language has been replaced with a new sentence. But I was gonna say, in the past, we've done what we kind of refer to as like a true up of the amendment. It's pretty clear that the intent was to delete that lobbyist compensation, so we can just fix that amendment.
So the committee can go ahead and vote on the amendment now, or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Councilwoman Vercher, did you get your question answered?
I did, Chair. Attorney Cooper, are we now being put in a position where we're having to determine when we're being lobbied and when we're not being lobbied?
I'm sorry, I'm not.
And I know I'm going back to Councilwoman Allen's point.
Well, it's not up to the council member. I mean, it's up to the person lobbying to determine whether their actions meet that definition.
Okay.
Anything else, Councilwoman Vercher?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Allen, I saw your hand. Did you put it down?
I did. I just was going to point out that the second substitute had different language, but that got covered.
Okay. Well, I do not see any other hands from committee members. Scrolling fast. So we are on the amendment as described by Councilwoman Van Reese. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
No.
Is that just one no? All right, so the committee recommends approval of Amendment 1. Councilmember Van Reese, you have a second amendment?
I do. Are there any particular language changes on this one, Hannah?
I think that the section number may have changed, but again, it's something that we can fix before it's submitted. I think that the everything got shifted by one section.
Okay, with that, if I can find a committee member to move this amendment.
I move the amendment, Chair.
Second.
It's been properly moved and amended. Councilmember Van Reese, if you can describe your amendment.
Yes, I understand that I'm sorry, there's background noise. I'm the only one. Okay. In the bill as substituted, there remains a provision in regard to the elected officials, department heads, and employees of mayor's offices being unable to participate. And I believe that if we agree that that is something that we want to keep in this, that it should apply only to those taking the position after the date that this is enacted. It's very similar to my previous year's discussions with Mr. Mendez on healthcare. I think that if you're going to make a change, that should happen prior to anyone running for office or working in the mayor's office or any other department head. They should know that this is something that is required of them. It should not be something that happens proactively. And so for that reason, I am asking for this particular amendment to the bill so that it's clear that the provision that's in the legislation applies only to those serving or employed as of the date that it's enacted and not proactive, not in past tense, if you will.
Councilmember Murphy, do you have a response to the amendment to your bill?
Sure, thank you. I want to clarify that this language has been tweaked twice, once at the suggestion of the design professional community, and then again within conversations with the Chamber of Commerce. So what this language now reads is that a department head or employee of the mayor's office shall not be registered as a lobbyist within 12 months of voluntary cessation of their official responsibilities in matters with which they were directly within their former official responsibilities or employment with Metro government. For this section, official responsibility means direct administrative or operating authority, whether intermediate or final, either exercisable alone or with others, either personally or through subordinates, to approve, disapprove, or otherwise direct metropolitan government actions. And then it does include Part B, an elected official shall not be registered as a lobbyist within 12 months of voluntary termination of office or of leaving elected office. So the reason in conversations with both kind of outside parties and things was I wanted to make sure that people could still consult. So like someone in the mayor's office whose job was transportation, they could still be a consultant on transportation after leaving the mayor's office. They just couldn't directly lobby. And again, looking at our current procurement code, we place similar restrictions on employment of present or former employees. And in fact, our procurement procurement code goes so far to ban some employees from participating in procurement like a lifetime ban, whereas this is just 12 months. And again, I'm going to quote Cornell Journal of Law and Public Policy that writes, "The risk is obvious that a client represented by a public servant turned lobbyist will have or will appear to have an unfair advantage in petitioning the government. This type of conduct poses a significant threat to the integrity of the democratic institutions. Others often argue that the potential flood of former elected officials and high-ranking government employees into the lobbying profession heightens the perception that lobbyists use personal contacts to take home big paychecks that the taxpayers pay the price in the end." And again, this is language, this is often called as a cooling off period or a revolving door regulation. We have it in the state of Tennessee, we have it in Metro, and over 28 states and many of the cities that I studied their codes have these prohibitions or type of regulations. And they exist primarily because of the perceived advantage that a former local elected official or employee may have in representing their clients in front of their former coworkers.
Thank you, Councilmember Van Rees.
Yeah, thank you for that clarity. My concern is not in the reason for doing it. My concern is in the date it's enacted. I just think it's fair to have it as of the date that it is enacted and not be retroactive. So that's what this amendment is asking for.
Thank you. Councilmember Hurd, you have a comment?
Yes, I'm trying to get an understanding because the statement that the sponsor just read prohibiting someone who has served as an elected official, it seems to me that likewise it gives attorneys someone who's been an elected official. It seems to be that some fuzziness if you're an attorney and you have specific knowledge that could be used for and against you as an elected official before or after. And I also think that it's unfair not to give people an opportunity to make money when they are providing consultation. I know for me in the job that I have, people constantly saying that I should be a consultant so I could get paid for it because there's a lot of knowledge that I've gotten from it. And I find that when people have put a lot of time and effort, the time and effort that's been put into serving as a council member, that is hard work. And a lot of time and effort has been given towards that. And to prevent someone from being able to utilize the education and the knowledge that they've earned during that time, I think is unfair and limiting, especially for a certain group of people. So I'd like for the sponsor to explain if there's an intent to exclude certain people is the reason why this bill is being presented.
So Councilmember Hurt, we're on the amendment, the Councilmember Van Rees's second amendment. Once we vote on that and we're back on the substitute, the bill as substituted and amended, then the sponsor can respond to your question.
That'll be fine. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
And are there any other questions on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the second amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no?
No.
No.
Okay, we're gonna do the raised hand because I couldn't tell if that was multiple no's or echoes or what. So all those in favor of the second amendment, if you could raise your hand. see 3. Director Cooper, the same number?
I think I saw 4.
Hannah Davis is not on our committee.
I apologize. I was just counting hands. You're right. It's 3.
Not Hannah.
If there are any abstentions, if you could raise your hand.
I think could we get the no votes?
Okay. I was going to do it like we did the last time. Any no's? Raise your hand, please.
Showing 6.
I think I saw Councilwoman Virtue's hand up for no, but I thought hers was up for yes.
Okay, so then 5.
No, I'm for yes on the amendment.
Okay. So the raised hands that are up now should be for no's.
Okay, I took mine down, Chair. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Four. Okay.
And Director Cooper, you could put me down as a no.
Okay, so that's 5 against.
Okay. So the second amendment fails. So we are back on the bill as substituted and amended with the First Amendment.
Pardon me, Madam Chair. I was abstaining.
Thank you, Councilmember Porterfield. Are there any other extensions? Raise your hand now, please.
Okay.
I don't see any other ones. Okay, so the Second Amendment fails. So we're back on the bill as substituted and amended with the First Amendment. Is there any additional discussion? Councilmember Syracuse?
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. The difficulty, I guess, that I'm having a little bit is trying to do the apples to apples comparison and having, from what I understand, these two amendments were written prior to the second substitute. And so now they're being brought, and it's my understanding that by tomorrow, we're actually going to have some tweaked or amended language of these amendments to apply to the substitute. So it's a little bit difficult to know what exactly it is going to amend or what it is amending. So I guess the question is to Mr. Cooper, is that the intent, is that we are going to get tweaked language of these, or to Hannah, of
yes.
These amendment program? Okay, thank you.
You'll have that tomorrow, and it does not make any substantive change. It's just more formatting and section numbering.
10-4. All right, thanks so much.
Councilmember Allen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm speaking on the bill as amended now. I still have some concerns about what to me still seems like a little bit of ambiguity for the design professionals, what is lobbying and what isn't. And would just like to, I guess, go on record stating that there may be room for further amendments. I realize this is not really amendable on third by the rules. But that I know the sponsor does not want to defer this, and would just like to at least go on record saying that I would like to open up the possibility of asking to suspend the rules on third reading for just some further refinement of language that could just bring more clarity to it as we vote on second. So just want to make that statement publicly.
Okay. Councilmember Glover.
Yeah, Director Cooper, the question I have is, given the fact there will be some tweaking on these amendments, I think the committee is not recommending Amendment 2, but the sponsor could still bring it tomorrow night. Could the sponsor, I mean, is that not something that is possible?
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted that clarification because I think I had some of the same questions there. All right. Thank you.
Councilmember Vercher.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm kind of like with Councilwoman Allen here and some others. You know, you want to support your colleague. I'm still not a dilemma. I mean, I'll figure it out what we're actually trying to solve here. Mr. Cooper, with this, because we are all elected and this bill has language for elected officials, do we all abstain? Is this essentially, are we all essentially affected by this bill now?
No, ma'am, you wouldn't be affected at this point because you are still a council member. It would only be after you were out of office. So a prospective possibility of it impacting you would not amount to a conflict of interest.
Yeah, and you know, not to I know the sponsor has done a lot of work, but you know, my 5 years, and you can attest to this. I don't know how many rezones I've done. 0. Oh, there we go. So I'm just really struggling with, you know, what is it we're solving? And I guess, you know, we can get that further discussion on the other committee, because I see it's been referred to Rules and Confirmation. And Chair, I know we've gone a little long, and I really don't have a fiscal question at this point. I can get my questions answered in the other committee. Thank you, Chair.
And I didn't want Councilmember Hurt's question to be forgotten. Councilmember Murphy, do you recall Councilmember Hurt's question?
Yes, I believe her question was about the kind of cooling off period. And if I don't answer it correctly, I know that Council Lady Hurt will remind me. And so again, what the kind of cooling off period is that you can continue, like the day you leave office, you would still be able to consult, to give advice, to advise people, that type of thing. You would just not be able to register directly for an organization to be their lobbyist to the council. That is what the cooling off period is. It is so that basically it's to level the playing field, because right now we all know that as elected officials, we have relationships and access to one another that the general public and that other people who and other interests do not have. And so kind of that special guidance that we get and we gain, it's just a cooling off period. And so what I did take out of here was it originally was written for any public employee, and that was pulled out. And so it really just applies to those department heads and members of the mayor's office and their direct responsibilities. And that's defined right there in that section. And then to elected officials for 12 months of volunteer, like if you left office, that's when the clock starts. When our term is over, that's when that clock starts. I'm trying to think. I think you may have mentioned something else, Council Lady, that I might be missing. I tried to jot down a note, but I think that's what you were asking me about, right?
Right. And Councilmember Hurt, does that answer your question?
It does, but I just don't see it being fair. Actually, I think it could be helpful to have someone with that knowledge and experience. Otherwise, those individuals, because people are not aware and they don't know, they may make mistakes, or it gives the government advantage, and that doesn't always work in the favor of the greater good of the people. So my question is, I'm trying to understand why this would be put in place, and what's the direct purpose of it, because it doesn't seem like it just doesn't seem fair.
Sure. I hear what you're saying. So let me kind of go over that again. So really, again, you can still use your knowledge. You just could not be the direct lobbyist. And I think the same reason that I'm wanting to add this here, the same reason we have it in the procurement code, is to prevent the idea of favoritism, and to avoid the risk that the client is represented to an unfair advantage to the government. The idea that we would be able to use our personal contacts for a higher gain than someone else, or we would be able to use those personal contacts to our advantage over just your regular average Nashvilleian being able to petition the government in the same way. And so I believe that's probably why it's in our procurement code, and why I think it should be here as well.
Anything further?
Thank you.
Councilwoman Virtue, is your hand up from your previous comment, question? Councilwoman Virtue?
I'm Chair. I'm sorry.
Did you have any additional discussion? Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, I think we beat this horse. No, ma'am.
I do not see any other hands up. So we are on Bill 2020-147 as substituted and amended. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. The committee recommends approval. Bill 2020-337, Mendez, Sledge, and Toombs approves an amendment to the contract for program management services between Gobble Hayes Partners Incorporated and Metro Government, which extends the contract term for 28 months. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I don't see any hands. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The committee recommends approval. Bill 2020-338, Taylor, provides the honorary street name designation of Pastor Percy J. Clark Way for a portion of Herman Street. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. I know the sponsor is on the line, but I do not see any questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Committee recommends approval. Bill 2020-339, Gamble, Mendez, and others, approves the acquisition of easements for the purpose of construction, operation, maintenance, repair, replacement, and inspection of a proposed stream bank stabilization project along Whites Creek, south of Oak Hickory Boulevard. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Let me scroll. I don't see any. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Committee recommends approval. Bill 2020-377, Taylor, amends ordinance Bill 2020-234 to extend the time period for the waiver of certain building permit fees for the repair or rebuilding of property damaged as a result of the March 3rd, 2020 tornado. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Councilman Taylor, you have a proposed amendment on this bill?
I do, Madam Chair. Thank you. So briefly, I want to just discuss just in section 1, we want to make sure that the waivers are provided to those that own the property when the tornado hit, not new owners. So that's in Amendment 1, and then and then in section 2, we want to have an opportunity to extend the resolution. Extend the bill with a resolution as opposed to going to 3 readings in council in an ordinance.
Can I get a motion for the amendment?
Motion.
Second.
All right, the amendment has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. We are back on the bill as amended. Is there any discussion? I do not see any. So all those in favor of the bill as amended, aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Committee recommends approval. That is the end.
Good job, Chair.
Thank
you, Chair.
Thank you.
All right, stay with me, Affordable Housing, quick.
Good job, Chair.
Thank you.
I'm here, Chair.
Thank you.
Councilman Taylor.
Good, I need you.